First of all, Alderman Haas is excused, and then I have a motion for the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody oppose? Christopher Nieves?
Yes.
Come on up front. Okay. Now, Nick, you're going to guide us with these, I hope.
Yep. Sure. Any seat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if you noticed, but I gave everyone a cover sheet of all of the appearance people, the first, or 2 through 9. Just one cover sheet that's got a list of everything.
Yeah, that was,
I like that.
that was here, yeah.
That turned out nice.
I've got copies if anyone needs them.
Why didn't I see Nieves on mine?
Okay.
Oh, that's the
Okay, thank
that's the people that you're going to review later.
Oh, okay. So I got the wrong one.
Okay, so your application for the adult-oriented operation permit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Different in your picture.
Hair's a little bit longer, beard's a little bit longer. Wintertime, you grow it out.
Okay. Okay, here he is. I don't know. Now, we had this before where he's going for a permit that we really don't, I mean, there's nothing on here that's pertaining to that, is there?
Specifically the,
Adult permit.
right,
In the past, we haven't even had the people in because Scott Post had told us at the time
I would agree that OWIs and offenses, similar to traffic offenses, probably wouldn't have an impact on an adult retail license, whatever we call it. The other concern, I think, that was coming up with the works report is a previous name that you had. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I switched, my mother had a married last name.
Okay.
And I switched my name to my father's last name.
Okay.
That was some years back, though.
Right.
Because, yeah, I had a German last name and I'm Puerto Rican Italian. It really didn't work out well.
And then you had some, I guess, what the committee can consider is offenses that are substantially related or could be substantially related to the license activity. You had some stuff in 2006 and 2004 that you had charges for. Is that right?
Sort of like that.
That'd be way back, like high school almost, 2004. I was like 18.
Sure.
I don't even remember.
I guess what we'd be asking you is, I guess, what's changed since there's like a credit card fraud and then a disorderly conduct?
The credit card fraud was, I was on probation at the time, and I used my mother's credit card. She gave me permission to. She told me, don't use it before this date or it will overdraft. Me being a kid at the time, I wanted my cell phone back on, and I was working at the mall, and I used her card beforehand, and it overdrafted. The state pressed charges because I was on probation. My mother did not want to press charges.
Okay.
And my mother could not reimburse the overdraft fee or whatever for her credit card, and there was a big thing, so they made it a fraudulent use of a credit card. Like, it wasn't an actual, like, I didn't go steal somebody's card. My mother had given me permission to use it, but I used it before she said I could.
And so- Okay, I'm sorry. So that's pertinent to this license.
I mean, a retail license, generally credit card fraud could be pertinent to any of those. And so what we'd be looking for is information on how you've changed, what's happened since then, whether you're getting in trouble significantly past that point or continually.
No, my kids have gotten older. All I've done is sat home and worked. If you look on my record, the only thing I have going forward is traffic violations. Other than that, I try to avoid people at all costs. That's why I like working third shift.
Okay. Is there any comments by anybody? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman May.
it does mention on here an OWI, but that
Right.
does not substantially relate.
I was going to
to
say the
alcohol.
OWI, I actually brought paperwork. I went for the AODA assessment, and I'm actually going to be starting the classes soon. And I actually have made points towards rehabilitating that situation. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
you have a driver's license now?
no, sir.
And where do you live? I'm sorry.
96 in Orchard. My wife's going to be picking me up.
Okay, and you're working right on Greenfield?
Yeah, that's another reason why I got rid of my job in Waukesha, because the driver's license thing, until I take these courses, I really can't do anything at MATC. So,
And this is going to be full-time there?
Right now it's part-time. My buddy owns a liquor store right here on 60th and Mineral area, and I've been working there also, and my wife takes me to work and picks me up because she works, since I work second and thirds, she actually works first at a daycare, so by the time she gets home, it all works hand in hand. My son goes to school right around the corner, so I got to go get him. I just walk. Yeah.
Over to me.
Move approval. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Now, this has to go in front of the entire council, correct? Even though you do, okay, so make sure, we're changing things. So that's going to be on the, what is it, 4th? Third. And so the entire council votes on it, then you'll have the license.
All right.
Okay?
So you need to come back? Or?
No.
Okay. So they'll just get something in the mail? Or?
Mr. Chair?
Oh,
And this goes for all the licenses, so once the council acts on it, it would be available for pickup the next day in the clerk's office, and if you don't pick it up the next day, it'll be mailed out to your address of record.
Okay, that's fine.
You don't need to come back, you won't need to come back for the council
All
meeting.
right. Question number 2, I can still go to work though, right?
You don't have a license yet.
Well, I was under the temporary license.
You have a
still.
temporary? Okay, your
Yeah.
temporary is still good.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if
Yeah.
the temporary still held pat until
Yeah.
all this
have a
was
temporary, that's good.
situated.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Okay.
Then?
got to keep working.
Thank you.
You guys have a nice night.
Jennifer Dopke, want to come up front? We have a bartender's license.
Correct.
Try to find it in here. Is there a new application?
Correct. Yeah, I was given a temporary one that had just expired, I believe, a couple days ago.
Okay. What is for Walgreens?
No, that one I've had for a long time. That's my primary job, was through Walgreens, and that was just if there was any store that I would be working at, but I float around now, so that doesn't even apply. I have somebody else scan the alcohol for me that way. This is for a bartender's license through the city.
Okay. And do you have a place where you're going to work?
At the Buzzard's Nest on 60th and Mitchell.
You a Packer fan?
I am a Packer fan.
Well, they're Bear fans there, so you got to be careful.
Well, I know. Yeah, you know.
It's okay, but you're here because you had in 717 an OWI,
Correct.
and I believe there was nothing really after that?
No, that was my first OWI. Other than that, I think the only thing you'll ever find on me is I had a speeding ticket, I think, when I was like 18 or 19 years old.
Okay,
You
and
mean your last OWI, right?
Yeah, my first and my last. Yeah, trust me, I've learned my lesson on that one. I've beat myself up more and more.
so are you working there now?
I am, because I did have the temporary license. They gave me an original application that had, they had a part on there for me to document that on there. And I can't remember if it said first name, last name at the top of the application or last name, first name, but I messed it up. So I came back to get a new application to correct it. And the lady at the clerk's office said that she gave me the wrong one, that they weren't allowed to ask me that question. So she took that one away and gave me a new one that didn't ask me that question on there.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's part of the reason, but I wasn't trying to hide that fact at all, but.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Who's giving the speech? Mike, Alderman May?
Oh, no, you're the man.
Oh, my-
So part of the reason we had you in here is because
Right.
when you had your OWI.
Correct.
You made some bad choices for yourself.
Oh, correct.
And your job bartending, you're going to be making those decisions for your customers.
Correct.
There will come a time where you're going to have to say to somebody, you've had enough.
Correct.
And we need you to make that decision for them.
Correct.
sometimes.
Correct.
Have you bartended anywhere else?
No, this is my first place that I have. I know Larry and Melody, the owners. I've been friends with them for a while. They decided to bring me on. I don't work there full-time. I'm part-time. I usually only work 4 to 7 once a week, and then I pick up some Sunday shifts for them when they need some extra help. A lot of times I'm just working for like dart tournaments and things like
Right.
that. But they also live right next door to the establishment, so even if I am there, I'd say 95% of the time, either Larry or Melody are there as well.
So the point is, you may be alone sometime, or working in another
Sometimes.
bar, because this license would let you work anywhere in the city.
Correct.
And if you're ever in a situation where you think you should call 911,
Yes.
pick up the phone and call 911.
Oh, definitely,
And when-
definitely.
And when the police come, we want you to be helpful.
Correct.
And not say, I didn't see anything. We want you to give.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Yep, I went through the training and I listened to all the steps. You don't want to accuse, you just want to be helpful. You don't ever, yeah, I went through all of that training. You never call anybody out. You never want to cause an argument, never want to be disgruntled or confrontational. You just want to make sure if you think that there's going to be an issue, you make sure that, that either I would contact Larry or I would contact law enforcement if it got there.
And, certainly, if there's a fight or something, we have,
Oh,
on our
correct.
agenda tonight, we have an issue we're going to be dealing with later where apparently there was a little scuffle in a bar and the bartender knew about it, didn't call the police.
Oh, I would definitely call the police first, and then I would call my Larry or Melody, my employer, immediately right after. But police would be the first call, and then my employer right after, so that everybody's aware of the situation, especially with them being so close, so that
Right.
they can come in and take care of the situation as well. So,
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
okay. So I do have one question for you because my temporary did expire on the 19th. So you said that I could come and pick up tomorrow my permanent one. Is that what you were saying, or is it going to be till
Your regular license will not be approved until the next council meeting, which is next Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay. So next Tuesday would be the next day that I would be able
Next
to.
Wednesday.
Next
When
Wednesday.
you have the license in
In
your
my hand.
hand.
Okay, just so that I know what to tell my employer so that they're not, okay, so next week, Wednesday would be the day that I would be able to
Yes.
work.
Come in and pick it up.
Perfect.
And if you come in and
Okay.
pick it up, you can have it on Wednesday, but if you don't get here before like 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
That shouldn't be a
then it's going to
problem.
go in the mail.
Okay, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem because they're literally down
We
the
don't
street
have any
anyway, so.
extensions or anything on the temporary, do we, or anything like that? No? Okay.
State law is, it's a finite amount of time.
Okay.
And I completely understand that. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be breaking any rules by doing anything that I wasn't supposed to, which is why I asked, so, okay.
Don't break the rules.
That's why I'm asking, and that's why I'm here, so, all
Okay.
right.
Have a
Thank
good
you very
evening.
much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Kayla Lustig? Did I pronounce that last name close? Okay. Okay, it's another bartender's license. Okay, this is a new request. And you're here because of, you get an OWI?
No.
No, is that,
There's a dated operating after suspended. She is valid now, so I guess my future and current statements to the committee would be that if somebody is operating after suspension, I think a valid license would show competent evidence of rehabilitation on that. There was the recent or somewhat recent disorderly conduct,
yes, I saw
Yes.
it.
yeah, which,
A lesser charge.
yeah, I believe it was amended with a disorderly or resolved with a disorderly conduct. I'm not going to advise the committee to consider underlying offenses or underlying, I guess, facts unless we're going for a habitual criminality issue. And in that sense, we can, but we should use that in stronger cases.
Okay. We went, when the police come, we cooperate with them,
Yeah.
like you already said. So it just, and anybody got anything else? Any questions on this?
Move approval.
Second.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
It was really about you not having your license and driving, but you have your license back now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
As the city attorney said, that proves rehabilitation, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Abigail Metcalf. Okay. Once again, okay, it says provisional on here. Do you have a provisional license right now? Okay. It doesn't say new or renewal on here.
It's a renewal, though.
It's a renewal?
Yeah.
So,
This one's a renewal license, not a new license. Are we sure?
right. Well, it wasn't checked off, so that's all. I just wanted to know. Okay, and we have you, okay, okay, why is this
Why is this even here then, if it's a
Yeah.
renewal? There's nothing, Mr. Chair?
all in line?
Yeah, I don't see anything really
No.
new on here since our last license,
That's what I was
correct?
just conferring with. I don't know what we knew at the time, but I guess I would agree that if something's a renewal, we can consider anything that happened in the last year, but not
Yes.
something prior to that point.
Yeah. I mean, there's a disorderly conduct listed for March. I guess not seeing the police report on that.
There's a what?
No, I don't
that was
think
the
that's the same
previous.
one.
That was the
Oh, I'm
previous
sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, oh, no, yeah. yeah. Oh, sorry.
Apologize, we're going through a bunch of different changes, changing things with new state laws and everything, so sometimes.
Well,
things
Mr.
kinda
Chair,
overlap.
it's
Go
likely
ahead.
because it wasn't checked off and we don't get too many renewals at this time, so
Right.
we'll probably assume that it was a new.
Right,
Oh,
I see, okay.
okay.
So if it had been a new license, there's a 2014 underage drinking that we could have talked to you about, but at this point, I don't think it matters.
Because we already did it, so.
move approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Guadalupe Valdez?
Mr. Chair, you called me about 20 minutes ago and was stuck in traffic on his way here, so if
Okay,
you
we'll
want
hold
to
it.
hold off on that one.
Brandon Welsh? Okay, bartender's license, it's a new license?
Yep.
I can find it. Okay, and you're here because you, was that, we're here, 09, OWI?
Yeah.
10 years ago. Mr. Chair, you heard what we said before about apparently that day 10 years ago, you made a
Yeah,
bad choice for yourself.
it was. Yeah.
I mean, what did that end up costing? I'm just curious what.
I don't know, over $1,000. Yeah, it was a lot. But it wasn't even the money, honestly. I felt stupid, so I never did it again. I don't even drive anymore, but
And where are you going to be working?
Applebee's in West Allis, the one on High 100.
Okay.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
Glad it's quick. I gotta go to work.
Yeah. Yeah, just be careful. Make sure, check everybody and take care of yourself there too.
Absolutely.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Well,
Thank you.
You heard that, you have a temporary now, I assume?
I don't.
Okay, so you know that you don't have a license yet?
So,
You don't have a bartending license yet?
Yeah.
Okay, you heard that, okay.
Wednesday.
Okay,
If I pick it up, I'm
If you pick it up. thank you.
Wednesday before Tuesday.
Wednesday before 2.
Shelby Lunsford? Shelby Lunsford? Bridget McAdams? Keep faking me out, put something in the back. Something. Okay, this is a renewal also?
Yep.
And, okay, saw you up here. Okay, now what was, okay, so is that,
These are rather.
this shows, yeah, they don't totally line up, so it's kind of hard to understand. So,
There's some dated information. If this is a renewal, I'm not going to advocate that there's any substantially related new offenses,
so,
and she's valid now.
Mr. Chair,
all in way,
when did you get your driver's license back? Were you revoked for a while on your driver's license?
I think it's like 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, okay. And that was tied to that 13 OWI.
Yes, 7 years ago, I believe, 6 years ago.
And all you've really had in the last year is a speeding ticket? Is that right?
Move approval.
Second.
is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so we still have Shelby Lunsford? Lunsford.
We're going to give them a little time.
And is Guadalupe here yet? Okay, I didn't see anything come in. Okay, then we have police reports. Let's see, who is this? Okay, Laura Selvar. Do we,
Laura already appeared. The business owner is here tonight, Tarla Fati.
Oh, that's right, the business owner was out of
Tarla?
town. Yeah.
Hi there.
you were the only one of 12 that sold beer.
Yes, sir. Sorry, it did happen, but we're usually pretty good at it. But
You always got to keep, because we do these things all the time. And I hope that it wasn't just, that we caught you, that it was a rare thing that we just happened to come in at that
we're
time.
usually pretty, good at it. But just probably the wrong time, I guess. And they well trained and stuff too. So just been the wrong time, I guess.
Well, they weren't trained well enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't be sitting here right
Yeah, you
now.
can say that. Otherwise, I won't be here. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry too. I could not attend the last meeting. I was out of the country. I
okay,
called
but it-
Mr. Marty Wilson. I call him so before I leave. So
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Roach.
is there another one in 2015?
it might have though. I'm not sure.
I believe 2015 was, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind. I believe 2015 was the last contact or issue we've had here. If it was, it's not something we can consider in terms of any potential suspension or revocation process because it needs to be within the same year.
Okay.
by law.
Even if it goes to pattern?
I was just gonna say, the pattern was just gonna come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
The state law says a 12-month period if it's an undercover investigation. I don't
Oh,
know.
only for
Yeah.
undercover
I
investigation.
don't know, I guess, the underlying facts of the 2015, but at this point, we would have had to act on the 2015.
Okay, anyone else?
So basically, Mr. Chair, I think what that was alluding to is if you get caught doing it again, there are penalties we can impose, everything from suspensions to revocations. So please be really careful, card everybody.
Okay, sir.
Have your staff card everyone as well.
And Mr. Chair,
Be safe, Alderman Roach.
question for the attorney, and that's calendar year, not, or license year,
I
excuse
look
me.
back a year.
A rolling year.
Yep. I look back from
Okay.
the time they got it to the next previous time. If it was 9 months in the past, we're good. If it was 366 days, then I'm not going to be able to consider it.
Got it.
And Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
did you retrain this? What steps have you taken to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Oh, they have their training.
Okay.
They have training course. Even before we.
No, yeah.
Then I submitted the copy to Mrs. Ann. So every training they would do,
Okay.
and also we also have training to me and my wife. So we take steps. That should be done.
And who paid the ticket?
Actually, I paid.
Okay, that's pretty nice of you.
Yeah, but I cannot keep doing that either. So
Yeah,
Well, hopefully you won't.
yeah, hopefully you won't. You're right, you cannot keep doing that.
yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Let's place on
Oh,
file.
place on file, I'm sorry.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Thank you guys for your time. and stuff. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Troy Meyer? Troy Meyer's not here?
Troy from Crawdaddy's?
Hold that.
Is this our second time on that?
What?
No.
This is first time.
Time on that.
Okay.
Robert Anderson? Am I missing something here? Robert Anderson? Okay.
I see Eric Muller.
Oh, did we? Okay, did we call Robert Anderson in? No.
This is the second time.
That we're calling him in?
You're right. The first one was on September 24th, and now November 26th.
And this is because of the police report?
Mr. Chair, I believe the underlying issue was they weren't issued their Class B and they were operating at the time.
Yes.
And so he was actually in court. I emailed Steve because I had him in court and was making sure it wasn't a different establishment that was kind of continually operating without their Class B. But he did come and he spoke with me on the ticket. He paid the ticket, pled out to the ticket, and was remorseful and he struck me as somebody who understood the gravity of and the mistake he made. I believe it ended up being a building code issue that he was held up on permits and didn't realize it.
So he had the application in and all that?
You actually granted.
Yes.
We were holding on issuance because of building inspection
Necessary
issues.
requirements.
Yeah, necessary requirements,
yeah.
yeah.
So I can't speak to why he didn't show up. I can just tell you that I did see him in court. I think it was last week at some point on Wednesday, and I guess that's all I can say is he impressed upon me his understanding of why that was incorrect and that he didn't realize it at the time, but he took your responsibility, paid the ticket, I think, day of when he came to see me.
Okay.
So proceed as you see fit.
So do you want to place it on file, or do we want to have him come in?
I think based on what, Mr. Chair, based on what the attorney said, place on file.
Okay, can motion to place it on file. Do I have a second?
First district, what do you can make the motion.
Okay, I'll second the motion then.
Discussion.
Discussion. Alderman
Mr. Chair,
Weigel.
I guess,
Precedent.
yeah, I mean, did he maybe believe that since he had settled in court that he didn't need to come see us?
That's one of the reasons I was bringing it up, because he
Yes.
asked if there was some licensing implication. I said, well, that's somebody else, that'll be handled in another avenue.
Okay.
I don't believe there's anything pending with you,
No.
but that's not what we're doing today. Today, you just have the ticket. I guess I wrote in my paper, I'm gonna try to give him a call tomorrow regardless. So if we want to try to get him back in.
I would, Mr. Chair, I'd say let's invite him back again.
So you want me to withdraw?
No, you can, if you want to withdraw it.
We're probably better off in just withdrawing it, holding it. Otherwise, this is going to go through the
Yeah.
council, and we're going to call him back.
Yeah.
I will withdraw my motion.
And I'll withdraw my second. And I got it all written down already.
We're going to invite him back in.
Yeah, we'll invite him back again.
Thanks, Ann. We knew you would.
Yeah. Eric Millard? Okay. Okay, gotta read this one. Okay, you know why you're here?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what happened there?
All my bartenders have taken their courses for safe serve. They know to ID anybody 40 or under. He said he ID'd him. I don't know what happened with the ID when the police caught up with the person, but
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel?
I guess my question is, Dylan, your AV guy or whatever,
yeah.
apparently told the police that he saw it on the videotape.
You know how our cameras are in and out all the time.
Well, then, and then you weren't able to produce the tape, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the concern.
We got a whole new system that's being installed in the next 2 weeks
Okay.
to make sure that anything that happens, including outside visibility
Yeah.
for anything that would happen outside too. Just bought a whole new system, so.
I mean, that was, reading the police report, that was my concern. That your employee, contractor, whatever, made a statement to the police that's like, well, you can see on the tape that this person was carded.
Okay.
And then you were unable to produce that. Or he was unable, you know, whatever. And I understand technical issues come up, so.
Piece of crap system.
Yeah.
Check your voicemail too. It sounds like it's full.
Yeah.
Go to the police report.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Is that person still coming in occasionally with the dog or without, or not? No? Oh, no. I mean, the
Customer?
Yeah, that customer, no. Yeah.
And all I know is that it was somebody's daughter
Yeah.
saw it via Facebook that she was inside a bar. Or he inside a bar,
Yeah.
or something. I guess it was, yeah, you know.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, Nick, as we're going through these, if we're getting past the line that Gail wants us to go, everything, just,
No.
you can
If
interrupt.
I know or if I've looked at stuff and I see a potential issue for us going forward, I'll stop in advance. Nothing happened that
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, 'cause
Yep.
I don't want you holding off
flag.
because you don't want to.
Yep, I will. Thank you, though.
Flag on the play.
Okay, Stephen, Mick?
Flag.
Okay. Okay, and you know why you're here?
This is the license. Unlicensed bartender?
Yeah.
And no one else on there. So, So they've taken care of the people that got
So
the
basically what
license?
had happened, Abby's actually my bar manager, so when Abby had hired her, she told us she had a license. She didn't intentionally deceive us. She has a Milwaukee County license, thinking that it was,
Milwaukee City license.
Milwaukee City.
she
County.
thought it was a Milwaukee County license, and she was confused. It was our fault for not checking it. She's since been released because she just didn't go get a West Allis license. We told her she couldn't work after that. She never got it, so she no longer is employed with us. But that was our mistake for not doing our due diligence to actually physically get it from her. So she wasn't supposed to be working that day by herself. She actually picked up a shift last minute, so it was unexpected. Before that, she had always worked with Abby. That was like her third shift, so it was her first time alone.
Okay. Well, you got to watch those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
but if I remember correctly, and I'm reading it right now, this wasn't like a tavern check.
There was a noise
Yeah, there
issue,
were
yeah.
two of your, I assume they were patrons.
There was patrons outside.
Intoxicated males yelling in front of dingers, which could easily be heard loudly a block away, and this was at after midnight.
So, just to give you guys a little bit of a description of it, I have one next door neighbor, and then I have the City Works building across the
Yeah,
street,
right, yeah.
auto shop. My next door neighbor to my left, he has my cell phone number. He knows if there's any issues. He always calls me. It wasn't Dennis. It was actually, from what I understand, one of my neighbors standing on the corner because they had heard it and they walked to the end of the street to like hear it better, and that's the individual.
No, that's not what it was.
That's what I was told.
One of our officers was on a traffic stop
Oh, really?
and heard it.
Okay.
So,
And he was a block away.
So I don't let anybody out my side door or back door after 10 p.m. just due to, that's where all my neighbors are.
Right.
I do push everyone into the front. That's where the smoking area is. So my understanding is two individuals that were smoking got into an argument. I'm not sure what day of the week this was, but I think it was a weekday if I'm not mistaken. We didn't have like a security person out front of the building to notice something like this, you know?
Wednesday.
Yeah, on Wednesday. So on the weekends, our door guy would be there to squash something like that before it got out of hand, and they're well trained to keep the noise down. Because that's obviously a concern of ours being in a residential area. We don't want our neighbors hating us.
Well, it's good that you got a good working relationship, because I know he was a real problem for Joe, the people that lived there at the
Which is
time.
surprising because he's such a nice guy. He's there like 5 days a week. He's always
Maybe
our
he
first
was
guest.
nicer than Joe was.
That could be. Well, he's older and he's going through some medical stuff right now. So he actually like calls. We deliver food to him every day. So he actually calls us.
I don't think Joe did much food. Yeah.
No. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Shelby Lunsford? No? Didn't come in? Okay. I didn't know if she didn't come in. Philip Kleinst? Kleinst?
Which item is that one?
15.
Tap City, anybody here? Okay.
Okay, you know, I read these reports a while back.
I always read them the day of.
Yeah, I normally do.
Yeah.
Okay, and
This is the queue.
This is the pool cues. The cues were coming out. Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
so you know why you're here?
Yeah, basically, because the bartender did not call the police.
Correct. Well, we weren't real happy with what happened there. I read the police report, and it's one of my peeves is when we have to hear about these from the next day or from the ER or something like that. Does this woman still work for you?
Yes.
Okay. Does she understand that?
Yes, she does.
Well, as I said earlier, if you
I
think you
talked to
should
her
call
about-
911,
Yeah,
well, it's
call
only three, it's the same number twice, actually. It's 911.
I know.
There's no 11 on the keyboard.
Right.
Yeah. And that one gentleman could have been injured very badly. Looks like he might have had a concussion or something. I'm not a doctor, but, you know, and the police probably would have brought the paramedics on scene. And even reading the police report, it seems like he got on his motorcycle and went down to the Harley Museum afterwards. I mean, this could have gone bad a lot of different ways. This really could have. You know, we're here to help.
I know.
So,
Okay, anybody else have anything? Do I have a motion?
move to place on file.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Anybody
Thanks for coming
opposed?
in.
All right, thank you.
Tabitha Harris?
This is item 16.
Yeah, why don't we, because this is for the same incident, I believe, why don't we have John Starr? Okay. Now, this was a pretty serious incident. Nothing, fortunately, nothing major happened, but it could have been a lot worse. I think that, were you there that night?
I was there.
You were there? And you were working there?
Aware of what happened at that
I was there,
given
yeah, I was the
time.
one that got beat up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of that. I didn't even know what was going
Now,
on.
this happened in the street next to your bar or up?
No, they pulled me right out of my bar. Like 8 of them. It's got the video.
Okay.
The police have video. Sorry, I don't mean to be snippy about it. And, you know, the bar owners can't always control what their patrons do outside of the bar either. So,
But the thing about it is that you are responsible for those patrons, simply because if you can't control them, then you call the
my
cops.
patrons were in my bar. None of my patrons did anything.
You know, you're responsible because you can't, like, for years and years, people would just push them out on the street and then let the neighborhood worry about them.
Right.
You know, if there's a problem, you just call the police. Like, you know, as soon as there's a problem, you call the police. You know, and here with, you know, somebody having a gun and everything, it could have been really bad.
Could have been really bad.
You know,
See, and I didn't even know all this was going on. The police came in. They didn't say anything. They just was looking for someone. I didn't even know till after the fact that any of
She
this
is right
occurred.
about that. Neither did Dee.
Yeah,
They had no idea.
I had
These
no
guys all
idea.
came out on their own.
They came out of the bar?
See, what happened was, I'm standing outside in front of my bar smoking, and this woman pulled up. She's in the middle of 60th in her car, and she started saying something out the door. I couldn't understand her, and I was just, whatever. And she backed all the way up 60th, up the block, and must have called her boys from her bar, and they all came over and pulled me out of my bar and beat me up.
From behind the bar, or you just?
I was standing right in the doorway.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nick, I don't know. No, am I correct that someone else is going to take over the bar or apply for it?
Yes, I did not renew my lease. So
Okay.
my lease ends December 1st, and I did not renew it.
Okay, somebody else has come in?
Someone else should be coming in.
Yes, they'll appear next Tuesday.
Okay.
I think the gist of this is, I mean, be aware of how much your bartenders or you guys are serving people, and if situations happen and things are going south, call the cops. I mean, we've had shootings, we've had situations where people got their bars revoked because shootings happened outside, and it's, as Alderman Shplusky said, ultimately if those people are getting served in your bar and they're coming into their bar and out of the bar, ultimately you're going to be responsible at some point. I don't know, this one, it seems was fairly mitigated. You didn't know what was going on, and you ended up
Totally
getting
not, or I would
punched
call the
by it.
police. I'm not looking for any
But
problem.
the one I'm thinking of in the past, they didn't know this party bus pulled up and people went in the bar and that big fight started and there was 50 people in the streets shouting and yelling and gunshots went off. And it was just anarchy. So just be careful, be smart, and if this continues to be an issue, obviously you don't want to hear from the committee, but maybe that includes increased security on certain nights or surveillance, whatever it's going to be, cameras up, just be mindful. I guess that's all from my perspective.
Yeah, it's probably hard to do anything in your case when people just run in and grab you. But you had a bartender that probably could have called the police, didn't you? Or
Well, we were all outside just trying to calm the situation down, you know, and then one of my patrons called the police, yeah.
so.
Mr. Chair?
Oh,
I don't think I understood the police report. Was that your patron who was walking home from the Brewer game? Okay. So that was your patron. I was wondering how she knew who was who in the conversation.
Yes.
I didn't understand that was your patron that called. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anybody have anything else? Do I have a motion on 16 and 17?
Move to place on file.
Second.
Excuse me. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thanks for coming in.
So, okay, obviously nobody else came in. We'll just hold these in. What is this one?
Sure, Mr. Chair, on Miss Lunsford, number 8, in my review of that, let me get to it. She's got an OWI from 2012. This is a new license, am I right? Okay. She's got an OWI from 2012 and a 2017 speeding. I believe that she's valid now at this point. Let me double check that. MOS. We talked about that last time. What did that mean?
Mostly valid? No.
Something out of state.
Oh yeah,
Moved out of state.
Moved out of state. All right. I guess it doesn't. It's not dispositive if she has a license or not. In any event, I think we'll talk about it eventually. But she hasn't shown competent rehabilitation. Then again, it's been 8 years, 7 years since her OWI, and she only has one. Typically, I think in the past, 3 was kind of our cutoff, depending on when it was. I think it's a harder argument for one fairly remote OWI to argue that that was substantially related and continues to be related to the license activity. It's up to the committee. I know she's not here, but eventually I might be recommending that we don't call these in if we don't have a solid basis for denying them. Up to the committee, though.
Well, we had said OWIs were calling him in.
OWIs might not be a filter. I mean, there's two distinctions. OWIs we're calling in, or OWIs can be a filter that Steve would or wouldn't pass something through. They might get passed through to you, but ultimately, on this next step, we'll have to decide if that's somebody we want to
Well,
bring
that's about
in.
the process.
Right.
Yeah, which we'll talk about later.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the other thing is with the new process, I guess, the letters that are sent out to the applicants do say that you are required to contact us, and if you don't, you fail to show evidence of rehabilitation. So the goal is not to hold any of these reviews, the licensees, different for the police reports, but the operators. So, I mean, it's totally up to you if you want to hold them, but the whole goal is not to have these held. So you just act on it. Approve it or not.
Okay, but it says on there, if you don't show up, we're not going to, the chance we're not going to approve it? Is that
It
what you're
just
saying?
says that you, Ann can correct me on the actual verbiage, but it just says that your failure to show up, then you can't provide evidence of rehabilitation. So if they don't show up and you're holding them, and that's kind of what Nick is getting at, we got to watch who we actually hold.
Who we offer the opportunity to come in.
Right. Is that's the reason we're calling them in to offer evidence of rehabilitation.
Alderman Weigel.
But does the applicant know that without that evidence, their license may be denied?
Yes, it actually says it in the letter.
So is the letter written clearly enough so they understand if they don't come in, they may be denied?
Yes, it's actually a copy of the letter. It should be in there.
The letter that you sent in? This is here. Okay.
Well, and if they moved out, in this case, if they moved out of state.
I think this person moved and then moved back.
Moved back. Okay.
So they have it
It
out of
says
state license.
Caledonia, I think it says on the application.
Yeah. So what would the committee like to do on this? It's still the same policy on, they didn't show up?
And we can still deny after, we give people 2 opportunities to show up, and then after 2 no-shows, we typically deny them. Well, I think we give this person another opportunity to show up.
But you're saying our case is weak if we want to deny it?
An OWI would substantially relate to the license activity. There's no question about that.
Right.
I think what I don't want to say confusion, because it's not confusion. There's 2 different processes in place. One, OWIs are always going to come to the committee to decide if they go to the consent agenda or potentially denial agenda. So you might have somebody that has a 1999 OWI that you say, yeah, that's not going to substantially relate. Even though it's coming to you as filtering process, you're not going to call them in. I guess 2012 could be a bubble for you guys that is close enough in time that you would say it substantially relates. My job is to argue that it would substantially relate. That's fine if we want to go that route. If we're saying anything in the last 5 years wouldn't substantially relate, that's up to you guys too. All OWIs will come to you.
Mr. Chair.
On me.
Is it the applicant's job to show that they have rehabilitation, or is it our job to prove that they have not had the rehabilitation?
The first step is our step to take, that we determine that something, an offense would substantially relate to the license activity. After that, it's their burden to show that they've been competently rehabilitated.
And by not showing up after we've told them that that's how they'll show us, is by explaining it to us. By not showing up, we could say we denied because they did not show us that they have rehabilitation.
It would have to be the substantially, yes.
So is that what you're asking us to do, deny this person because they have not shown substantial rehabilitation? And then that's going to trigger them to actually show up and say, hey, wait a minute, I am rehabilitated? And would that denial trigger them to reapply?
I'm just asking that you take action on it, one way or the other. Nick, I think, is advising that it may or may not be.
Well,
I'm not taking a position one way or the other. Ultimately, it's up to the committee how you guys want to proceed somewhat consistently. If one OWI from 2012 is going to be something that we're going to be routinely calling people in on, and then...
See, but I look at, okay, we obviously when we looked through it, we thought it was, we wanted them to come in. They obviously, or she obviously didn't feel important enough to come in, or if there was some kind of mistake. So we either take action to refuse it or accept it, one of the two.
Or we can invite this person back again and give them, I understand you want us to do something.
Yeah, instead of this whole, I think because of this new process, we have to do one or the other.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move denial based on failure to show rehabilitation.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, my question for the clerk now is does this denial process now require this particular applicant to reapply and pay the new fee and go through the whole process? Or can they come back and say, hey, I guess that's my question.
By denying, they can still reapply, but it only prevents them from getting a provisional license.
No, but when I'm saying reapply, is they're going to have to pay the $90 again? That's my question.
Process-wise, yes. However, you are the governing body over fees, and you could always make
So
that
if she gets a letter and says, oh, I forgot all about it, I was with my son doing this or whatever, everything, we could say, okay, come on in and prove it, and we can change our vote.
Conceivably, she can come on the 3rd and change your mind at that point, too. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I think it's the right thing. So. Okay, motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say, we sent out, 9 letters this time, and all but 2 got back to us.
Yeah.
And one of them ended up coming.
What about Guadalupe Valdez? Was this our first time seeing him?
He's the stuck in traffic guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, calling citizens. So
we're gonna wait.
It was bad
shows
coming
up
from
here.
downtown.
we'll hold on him, and we don't have, of course, this is a different, this is the police report. Police report will send out another letter to
For Crawdaddies?
Crawdaddies. Okay, so that's going here.
For mayor.
And then we'll still hold that. And then we have 18, 19, and 20. Are these all pertaining to the same thing? Oh, no.
No. 18 is the list.
Let's do 18 on first.
Mr. Chair, if anyone wants a copy of the cover sheet, I got copies. I know you got yours on your computer.
Yeah, let me see it. It's not. Okay.
You got one? Dan's got one?
I got one here.
Mr. Chair, would it be helpful to go and do number 19 first, discussion relative to general guidelines for reviewing license application background checks? And so we can have the discussion. I think we've had it once
Oh,
or twice,
yes.
but have that discussion, and then that might
review these.
inform how we proceed on 18, and also inform Steve how to proceed going forward to maybe reduce that list that you have to see. Up to the committee.
Yeah, go ahead.
So number 19, we've had this discussion before about what the filtering process could look like, and I think I want to be clear again that there's two things in play here. One, the accept or the reject or deny from accept or deny, approve or deny, which is what 18 is going to be right now. And then before even that happens, there's this filtering process, which is what 19 is about. Before even getting to 18, people submit their licenses. Steve runs the license, the background check. The clerk's office does that with the police department. And then Steve, at this point, is passing everything through to the committee. If Steve doesn't have any, the clerk's office doesn't have any discretion by itself. This committee has the discretion to approve or deny licenses. If there are certain offenses, which we've discussed, I think the traffic offenses excluding OWIs, OARs, and operating after suspensions, those are something that you typically don't generally care all that much about, right? That would be something that would not substantially relate to the license activity.
Even if there's 30 of them.
Even if there's 30 of them, I'm going to have to, I would agree with that. At some point, they become, if there's 30 of those things, if they got speeding tickets, 20 of them in 1 year, they're going to get revoked. And then if they're operating while revoked, you're going to see
they're
that.
pile into that.
And so eventually, you're going to see
So
really
people
bad
with the money to
drivers.
pay the tickets will be okay.
Well, the points are still going to catch up. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you'll still get points. But eventually you'll see those if somebody's bad enough. And at that point, I'm going to argue that they substantially relate because they can't hold a license, they keep on screwing up. The document that was included with this is something we've talked about in the past. This would be something, just a guideline or a cheat sheet for the clerk's office. I guess what I would propose is that on the bottom, or I would make an amendment to this with another heading that would be types of offenses that will never substantially relate. And so that when Steve gets these, he can parse out some offenses that you wouldn't ever have to see. The people would automatically go on the consent agenda. If you want to see everybody, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just along the list.
The difference here is that the clerk's office has been doing this for years. Steve just wants it down and wants a criteria to go by instead of just leaving it up to.
In the past, I believe the clerk's office had done this, whether it was affirmative from the committee or not. I don't know of any.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I said, we sat down when I first became chairman and said, keep doing it the way it is, and if there was any questions, that she wasn't certain, she would call me.
Perfect.
And like me, so that was that way. But, Steve, and maybe it is the way to be, that it should all be a criteria, on what.
That'd be
but
killed
it's
for
easy
offense.
to
We
do.
didn't talk about that. I mean, I would rather hedge, or I would rather more stuff go to you in this filtering process than less. But if there's some things that we know the committee's not going to care about, that might be something that Steve on his side, if you're open to it too, we could put into this document. This could be a living document thing that we amend as we see fit, but that would take. You'd be granting him discretion to act on your behalf on some of those, on only the ones that you say are okay. It's completely your call, though.
So what have you been doing up till now?
Well, the last several months, giving you everything.
Right.
Prior to that, I'm familiar with having the filter. I've done it the same way. It's just I have difference of opinion from what Monica had filtered versus what I had filtered. So that being said, with you having the ultimate discretion, I just wanted something in writing so we all know exactly what is being filtered out.
Okay, so if it comes in and there's nothing in the police report at all, those go through?
Those go through.
Okay, so if there's littering, that's the only thing in the police report?
I take it back, yeah. If it's, well, I haven't seen littering before. It's usually speeding ticket. We could do that.
Wow. Allis's restaurant. Allis's restaurant. It's littering. Yeah, it's before your time.
The only ones that have been passed through is on the works report if it comes up, but it's dismissed offenses. But at the same time, the police department was doing those works reports. I hadn't seen them, but now I see those. So if one came up and there were violations on there, but they were all dismissed, that would go through as well.
Yeah, I think that should go through too, Mr. Chair. That makes sense.
But aside from that,
So they're
everything
not
else is
guilty.
pretty much going on the agenda, police department would like to stop having to report traffic violations. I just want to pass that on from them.
We did have a meeting with the police department, and I think the general consensus is that they are spending a significantly less amount of time, or less time on the process as it is currently. So they appreciate the changes. I know the committee has mixed feelings at this point, but an example I could point to is if we look at the very first one on number 18 for Amy on A-U-N-E. She's got unregistered vehicle, obstructed view or control.
There's no reason we need to see that unless there's a warrant out for her arrest.
Sure, and I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that I wouldn't be able to argue any of those would substantially relate to the licensed activity. I would not be advocating for somebody like that to be called in even just to talk to. So if we get to the point where we're saying OARs, OASs, OWIs, you always see. Warrants, you always see. Any other criminal or quasi-criminal issues, disorderly conducts, retail thefts, THC, anything else under the sun that's probably going to be under the work side of things, you'll probably always get those. But on the DOT notes, that might be an easy way to filter out a chunk of these
By
people.
criminal, you mean misdemeanors and felonies?
Misdemeanor felonies, there can be other offenses too, so citations can count. If they got 5 retail thefts or 3 retail thefts in 2018, there probably is a few on here like that. I would argue that counts.
Prison escape?
Yeah. So if I amend this,
right away.
if I amend this document, add that on, and we get it in front of you again to say, looks good, that's how we want this filtered, would that be something you're interested in?
Okay, you're saying this document?
That document,
Guideline?
correct, yes, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The document that is the guidelines, that would only be for Steve, not any binding of authority on you guys.
Okay. Alden Rowe.
Are we ever going to go back to the old police statements that we're getting? Or is it always going to be this works?
Whatever you guys want.
I like the spreadsheet. That seems to be.
You like this?
I do.
Now, you did the spreadsheet?
Steve did the spreadsheet. I think we had the spreadsheet before. I'm working with Steve to make sure that it makes sense, and then I'm coming with a lot more information now.
If it's simple like that,
If any questions or comments or concerns.
Incidents and everything, I'm going.
Okay.
So I go through and put the information in. The police department are doing the first 2 columns, and I do the third. And then Nick reviews.
I review everything and find whatever resources I can to try to clarify.
And that is the same information they were giving in the past. It's just I'm doing the 3rd column instead of them, and it's just in a different layout. But
You're
it's the
doing
same information.
the works notes.
Yeah.
It's the same information in a different format. We go horizontally. The police had a page that was down.
All right. Okay. Dan, what's your... I know the other one, the thing about it is that, and the other one was just, we were used to it. You know?
Exactly.
And this
That's
is
what it is.
And this is a change. And
momentum.
And so that's why, I'm not bucking a lot because it's like, you know.
So let's go with-
Old dog, new trick thing, you know?
Okay, let's just,
Okay.
James Balf. He's got, we are definitely going to bring him in, and I guess I can't say anymore, can I?
You can say whatever you, I mean,
Well,
and James Balf, if we're talking about James Balf, he's got 3 OWIs. Historically, this committee has had problems with people with 3 OWIs.
Right.
That would be one thing where we say, okay, Steve, if somebody's got a 15-year-old OWI and one only that can pass through, maybe you want to see every single one of those, that's fine. But 3 OWIs substantially relate. He also has obstructing and prison escape, other things that we might want to talk to him about that might relate, but he could also very easily, in all likelihood, show rehabilitation on that one if he brings.
Well, I think all OWI should come in.
Okay, come into you guys at least.
Right, it should come to us at least.
We've only approved, since I've been on this committee, 2 people at OWIs. They're incredibly unique situations.
With 3 OWIs.
Yes, did I say that backwards?
Yeah.
2 with 3 OWIs, and the one lived above the bar that he was going to work at and didn't have a car, and the other one lived across the street from the bar. They're very unique. I'm just saying this committee has only done 2
And I'm holding up 3 fingers, 2.
District 4 math.
Yeah. My only comment on that is that things are changing a little bit, or changed a little bit about, or with the evidence of rehabilitation. In the past, we could say hardline rule, doesn't matter how many you have, when you had them. If they show competent evidence of rehabilitation, we're going to have a problem. We shall issue that license. The question becomes, what's competent evidence of rehabilitation when you have 3 OWIs? It might be that it's been since 1992 that you got your last OWI. I mean, if you get 3 in the last, that might be it. It's going to be up to the committee to make that statement to me and me to argue if he challenges it. Obviously, I would agree with you generally that 3 OWIs, I don't care what you're going to show me most of the time, especially if you got them in the last 10 years, this is a pattern of conduct for you.
Right.
And so if that's the case, even if you show me that you got off of probation, I think we still have an argument that that's not competent evidence of rehabilitation, because you got off probation last time, 2 times ago, and it didn't help you. Something's different, and so at least we have that argument.
Okay.
There might be a discussion to be had with Mr. Belfi then when he comes in, or if he comes in, but I think the general rule is you got 3, sure, you're coming in. You're going to talk to us about it.
Okay, let's take a break from this a minute.
Sure.
Guadalupe Valdez?
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, this is a new applicant. And now we gotta go back to the old.
Back to here or sit-
Yeah, no, have a seat right here.
You can be on TV.
Huh?
You're going to be on TV.
You serious?
Yeah.
Everything's on televised.
Everything's on TV.
Where?
Okay. Okay, we have
This is
unauthorized person operating.
Here's a better one.
There's one. There's that. Here. Mr. Chair?
All in waggle.
Mr. Valdez, where are you going to be working?
at TNT.
At TNT?
TNT Sports Bar and Grill on
6404 West National?
5906.
Yeah, they moved.
Oh, that's
They
right.
moved, Yeah.
They're on Burnham.
They used to be over there, yes.
They're on Burnham. Do you work there now? No.
No, I'm waiting for you guys.
Do you have a job? Is it gonna be
Yeah, I own the car lot right down the street from here. The one on 61st in Greenfield, and the one on 17th in Pierce, and my scrapyard is on the north side.
You're a busy guy. Why do you want to park?
Yeah, that's where I was coming from, from the scrapyard.
So the reason you're called in is your history here.
Boy, because it got denied, and I bought into it, so that's really all I wanted. I don't even bartend, you know what I mean? I just...
Oh, so you're a part owner in the business, and you want to have a license.
Yeah, just
so
so
you
I
could be there.
Yeah.
But you're not an agent for the corporation or anything.
What do you mean?
It's not listed as
No, not listed.
Oh,
as
no.
agent.
or on the application at all.
Okay. Yeah. So our problem is your history.
Yeah.
Okay. So in, looks like
Late 90s?
late, well, no,
Up to
2000.
yeah. Christmas week of 2011, you had an OWI, and that shows that at least,
It was Thanksgiving.
well, maybe that's when it got processed. Okay.
It was Thanksgiving.
And I also see possession with intent, THC,
Yeah, that was 2002.
okay?
I did 11 years of probation, and I didn't go back. I did them straight.
11 years?
Yeah, I did 11 years of probation. Parole is on my history, and I didn't go back not once.
And then a felony elude a traffic officer.
Yeah, that was the same.
That was all the same
No,
thing?
all the same thing.
Okay. See, those are things that are very concerning to us.
Yeah, I don't do that no more.
Yeah, well,
You know, no. I do everything you guys tell me on 61st. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, we would know about that. I guess building and bins might know about that.
I do everything Milwaukee County does. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
I've been in
Okay.
business like 10,
You
15
got
years.
carried a concealed weapon?
No, it was a pair of brass knuckles. If you look into the report, it was a pair of brass. It fell out.
Well, it's still called a weapon.
Is that,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
was that the same
That was-
incident or different?
No.
No, that was in
Did
1997.
that a couple times.
No, that was in 97. It happened. Those fell out.
Okay.
And you have a 97 and a 98. Carry concealed weapon.
What was it?
Resisting, obstructing.
I was in not 98.
Was this,
No.
Yeah, May of 98 it says.
Yeah, we have a March of 97,
charge
carry
time, right?
concealed.
Oh, it was a withheld sentence. I had to go back into court. You know, when you get revocated, sometimes you get a whatever they sentence you or withheld, I had to go back and then they sentenced me. I did 9 months at the House of Corrections. It was a withheld, that's why.
Steve, this all isn't him, is it?
Yeah.
Everything here?
Everything here.
Okay, because you go up, the name's here, and I don't know if it's above or
Well,
below.
the line's drawn there.
Everything above the
Yeah.
line above Welch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I can ask,
All in me.
what's going on with the vehicles? It looks like failure to keep vehicle under control and proper
Oh,
plates.
that was not me. No, I'm fighting that right now. That was not me.
Okay, September 19, and then
Yeah, that-
2018,
Yeah, those were not me.
unauthorized person to operate unregistered vehicle, 2016 unregistered vehicle.
After December 2nd, because I asked them to run the prints, you know how they fingerprint you? Because I never got pulled over, dude. That was not me. I told them even check the dash cam. That was not me. I never been pulled over, so that's already went. In fact, my paperwork's on the dashboard. I went twice, and they said December 2nd they were gonna. The first time I went, they asked why, and I told them why. And the second time, they said, okay, this time I just went. They were like, we're gonna run the prints, because I was like, that wasn't me. I know it wasn't me. I like put my freedom on it. It wasn't me. Run the fingerprints.
So that, you said December 2nd?
Yeah, I'll be cleared. Yeah, I'll come back with it.
Well, I'm just thinking, because our next council meeting is December 3rd anyway, so
Yeah,
that's the earliest something like
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I got the
would be.
paperwork. You let me run to to grab it from the dashboard.
CCAP does show there's a date on 12/10 or 12/2, a pretrial conference in front of
Yep.
Judge Shelton.
Yep.
It says it's closed for some reason, but it sounds like it's not. It's probably just
No, because I know they know it wasn't. I'm like, well, they're gonna check it. They'll know. You know.
So that is pending still. There is, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, there is, just because I'm looking at CCAP, you got a ticket for resisting, obstructing, or hindering.
That was the same person. Whoever got pulled over,
Okay.
and they used my name. It was the same person. That's why
Oh,
I'm
you have that as a
asking.
pretrial on 12/2.
Yeah, everything's all. It's like 3 tickets
Yep.
that weren't me. That's why I'm like, run the prints.
Okay.
Did you want to hold this until?
I think we should hold it until the
Till I
3rd.
clear it.
Yeah, we'll meet on the 3rd, by then we should know. Have it on the 2nd. Hypothetically, if you call the court, you probably have to call the court, it won't show up in the system anyway.
I'm not sure how fast it will come up in the system. I know the DA who was handling it. He was my old boss, so.
Is that a good relationship or a bad relationship?
The problem might be that just nothing gets done. I mean, it's the court process. It can be
Yes.
slow sometimes. So ultimately, it might not. You might not
It
get
might
an
not be
answer.
done.
Yeah. I think the bigger issues to consider, and you can still hold whatever decision you want at whatever point you want, is the older dated stuff.
It's like
OWI, the.
OWI and then the old
Possession.
stuff. I don't have any.
I don't even drink no more. After that OWI, I learned, because, you know, I own that towing service, I said. I learned, man, it cost me a lot just to keep my own license, you know what I mean? Like, I was paying like $1,900 a month, and that was way too much. I'm like, no more drinking. I don't even drink no more. If I happen to say, I know I'm not going to drink, but if I did, I'll just take Uber, you know what I mean? It's different now. It ain't 10 years ago. Now we got Uber.
And you said you got probation and
I did 11
O2
years.
stuff? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did 11 years straight. They had sentenced me for 9. I did not. They sentenced me 9 years and 4 out, but I went to boot camp, so it turned into all probation time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
when you go to boot camp, whatever time you don't serve turns into parole.
It's so old on CCAP that it's converted case. Do you have any information on?
What is it converted?
Converted just means they didn't scan all the records in completely.
now
Do you have
there's-
any paperwork that says you successfully completed probation?
That was 2011.
Okay.
Maybe in my email, if you let me. Hold on.
I don't know if we need it now, but that would be, that is a statutory ground for competent evidence of rehabilitation.
Bleeding probation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Successfully.
So you understand, we need to see evidence that you've been rehabilitated.
It's been like almost 20 years. I don't know what you want.
Yeah. I don't know if there is anything.
Well, all we got is this, what's, stuff
Once I
pending.
come back,
But
I'll
even the
tell you
stuff pending
what's
is,
in me.
Okay. Or maybe you could email it to Nick or.
Sure.
I'm looking up the.
do you think it's necessary for him to come back?
If everything is as he says it is.
Right.
I mean, so the probation was on the felony THC charge?
Yeah, it was in 2000. Look, I had two cases. One in 2000, possession with intent.
Yeah.
I got out in 2002 and had caught another one. Then I went to boot camp, did those 11 years, exactly 11 years. You look on the thing, it's exactly 11 years. I'm trying to find a.
And that was 11 years later, then you got the OWI.
Yeah, it was 11.
2000, yeah.
Nothing.
You got off of probation,
Yeah,
and you got the OWI.
here. Yeah, and since then I don't drink. Here, hold on.
And what about the marijuana and THC?
It was then. It was the same. Hold on. I know I got it.
Let's put it this way, if it wasn't satisfied, you'd see it somewhere in the system, Nick?
Not on a converted case. I think all the records switched over in 2005 or so. So I can see what the sentence was. It was 5 in, 5 extended supervision. So 5 state prison, 5 extended supervision.
See, here goes the discharge letter from my. Here you go.
Perfect.
Discharge. I saved it. It's been in my email since 2011.
Yeah, I mean, if you could forward that to Nick.
Yeah.
Well, you guys can forward it to. I don't
want to
It's your phone.
have control over your, you know what I mean? My luck,
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
hit
give it to
delete and then I'll be in trouble, so.
I don't see any competent evidence. I'm going to give you my email and I'll have you do that.
That would be very bad.
Yeah, it's your phone, but I just don't want to screw with it.
Forward it to him.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
All in way.
I guess one of my concerns is, I'm giving the applicant some kind of leeway because he says he's an owner in the business and he's.
I really don't got a bartender.
You're
I
not
just
gonna
want.
work, but the problem is this license would let him work anywhere in the city.
Right.
At the same time, Mr. Chair,
Follow me.
I think that would show competent, the email would show competent rehabilitation, which the state law says if
Right.
competent rehabilitation
Nope,
is
I get it.
shown,
I get it.
then you have no
State
reason
law's
for
controlling
denial.
here.
Yep.
I mean,
So why don't we do this? Would it be okay if we held this until next Tuesday, just so you can look over that stuff, Nick?
Sure.
did you get it?
And is it necessary to have him come in again?
Up to the committee. I mean, yeah, if you're going to deny him, this, I guess unless he's going to show some other evidence, competent evidence of rehabilitation, that's what he was doing today. He probably wants to be aware of whatever we decide, though.
Right.
Would you be able to come back next Tuesday?
Yeah, anytime you want.
Okay, this is,
I did not get any email yet, but it could be floating through.
This would be next Tuesday. 7 p.m. is the regular council meeting. And then sometime after that, we would be meeting in this room in a recess meeting. It could be 7:05, it could be 7:25.
Next week, what, December 3rd?
Yes,
December 3rd. What time?
7 o'clock. Just put down 7 p.m. to be here. And in any event, that would be the soonest that the council would act on any recommendation we make. So the soonest you would have your license would be the following day, Wednesday, the 4th. And then you'd have it only if you picked it up right away, and if you didn't pick it up before 2 p.m., it would be mailed to you on
You
Wednesday.
said what time?
7 p.m. here.
7 p.m. Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
and we have a council meeting, and then we break into recess. That's when we'll take it up.
Yeah.
Okay?
And if you have any, Mr. Chair,
All in me.
if you have anything from that December 2nd court date that you could bring,
Yeah, I
That would be
will.
helpful.
I'll for
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
have something.
Or email to Nick ahead of time, if he's got something, or...
Anything you want to email me, you got my email address. Otherwise, give my office a call if you've got anything that changes.
Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Anything?
No, that's it.
Good, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
thank you.
Let's see, Troy Meyer? Come on, have a seat.
Which number was he?
Number 11.
Apologize for my tardiness. I lost track. I apologize.
Okay, that's okay. Things happen. We were holding you. So, let's see.
This was the compliance check.
Right.
Daddy's?
All right. What happened there? Was that you or
No, it was
bartender?
actually my manager, a 60-year-old gal that's just she was more weirded out about how the patron was acting when she was on her phone, and before she knew it, she never asked for an ID. She was paying attention to something else. And she said she was actually concerned for the gal because she seemed so nervous and was on her phone and kind of checking around, and she was not thinking of underage, she was thinking something else was wrong, so.
So she wasn't a very good undercover then?
No,
It's not. She says
apparently she was.
Yeah, she caught you.
Yeah, it sure was.
Okay, we do these things all the time. How long you been there now?
Over a year.
And so we do these things all the time, and you were one of two that, let's see, 11 that got caught. So just tell everybody to watch it, you know, even when that's cases, you know, anything happens, always ask for a
Of course, yes.
license.
Yeah, she has her server, her bartending license. She's been trained to observe, you know, anyone under 30 card. Maybe it's the case that we're not very busy in the bar. I couldn't tell you what's going on with her, but she knows all the ins and outs, so, along with my other bartenders, so. They might get a little too comfortable because they feel like more as a restaurant. They're actually serving the restaurant. They're not getting a lot of traffic, even from the streets, or, you know, no one's just coming in to drink. They're coming in to eat and socialize and meet. So I definitely have talked to everyone and told them.
Okay, because
be vigilant.
You're on the list, we'll be back again.
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Alderman
if I
May.
could just add, we had a couple of bars earlier, late this fall, who we had called in, who got caught a couple times with this issue, and they had received some suspension time where they had to close for like 10 to 15 days, depending on which one.
Twice in 12 months could lead to a suspension.
Okay.
So just make sure that they're really checking those licenses and IDs.
Absolutely.
Do I have a motion?
Move to place on file.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for coming in. Thank you very much.
How's
Appreciate it.
business? Going well?
It's going well. Yeah, it's going well. Thank you for asking. Take care, everyone.
Have a good holiday.
Okay, now we're back to 18. Okay, now,
19.
Yes.
so what are we first taking what goes through the clerk's office, what they send to us? Are we first establishing what we're going to do there?
It's up to you. I just thought that might be helpful to say, okay, we really don't care to see some of these traffic issues. And then when we actually go to see the list in 18, you can see, okay, yeah, this is the one, this is a good example of what we don't need to see. This is a good example of what we don't need to see. I guess I just wanted to have that in mind as we're going through number 18. If there are things that would limit the amount of time you're here looking at things.
So, Mr. Chair, for example, the first one on this list, this Amy, I don't know how to pronounce that
Amy
last
A.
name. Amy A. I would say we wouldn't need to see that. That's not a, those things aren't crimes.
No, okay, before, but
Because that's what you're asking for, right?
no, what we're asking now, okay, this came to the clerk's office. Now,
What should they do?
should he send this to us?
I don't think so.
Or should he okay it?
I think that one he should not send to us. There's nothing in there that relates to the owning a license. So state law would say we can't really do anything with any of that anyway.
Unregistered.
Mr. Chair, I'd piggyback on what Alderman, or agree with what Alderman May says. Nothing here would allow us to keep her from getting a license.
Agreed.
Same with the third one.
Okay, so, now you're getting this, right, Steve?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Third
so
one?
I got down that you're going to see traffic matters that are OARs, operating after revocations, operating after suspensions, and OWIs. No matter how many they have, those are coming through to you. No matter when they are, they're coming through to you.
Do we want to say
25 years.
a single OWI more than 20 years ago?
No, I think we should make that decision. I think it should come to the committee, and the committee should make that decision. When we get our list,
Yeah.
we look at it and say, so it's 20 years ago, we don't, but I don't think that anything with OWI, the clerk should
So
pass
any
to us.
OWI comes through. Okay.
And as Nick said, that this is a fluid document, so if things change 6 months, a year from now, you could always make that determination.
Not clay tablet.
When's April?
Yeah, right? Counting down the days.
Is that what the intent here was?
No.
You guys may want to change this after he's gone.
I did not.
So, but I just think OWI
April
should.
15th, this will all come.
6 months are going to
17. But who's counting? Okay, so, okay, that's another example. Obviously, Deborah, feather fasten seatbelt? Oh, here's.
Warrant.
Okay, that's a warrant,
Yeah,
okay.
does any warrant want to, no, and without the
Yeah.
warrants, is the warrant related to the underage?
It says procure for
Yes.
sale. Yeah.
I mean,
So not only is the offense substantially related, the problem's going to be it's not an exempt offense. Meaning an exempt offense, if you get arrested for an offense, you can only count offenses that are arrested, non-convictions, if they're exempt offenses. That would not be an exempt offense. I guess in this case, wouldn't be denying her for her record, though. She's a warrant. She is an outstanding issue. My advice to you would be that would be one I think we could see bringing in.
Okay,
Yeah.
but this is one, because
Or denying.
right now, we're talking mainly about what Steve passes through. What goes through the clerk's
You
office.
can do both at the same time if you want.
Oh, okay, if you want to do that, I would like to.
Certainly not
Alderman Rowe.
here to.
Yeah, I would like to, getting back, I would like to see the warrant people come in because it always.
gives us an opportunity to arrest them?
Well, no, well, that too, and it always seems like the warrant gets paid
Yeah.
that morning.
And then if the warrant's gone and she has a conviction for procure, sell, dispense alcohol to underage, that's something that we could certainly consider at
Whole
that
separate
point.
thing.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Warrant for that. That can't be
so,
that high.
okay,
No, it's because you don't show up.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So,
on this, okay, going back to the list, Jason Beaumont, that shouldn't, went through the clerk, that should just be
Yeah, no insurance.
weeded out by the clerk with the criteria, same thing with, Joseph, whatever.
Mr. Chair, if we can go back to Deborah and the
Fumifredo?
dispense procure, if she has a 15-year-old alcohol for an underage, do we want to, I mean, do we want to set some age limits on some of these things? Some time limits? I don't mean her age. I mean that. let's
Time
say-
in the past.
Yes, but let's say it was 20 years ago and she got caught at a party drinking beer in college.
Okay,
If there's a warrant, I'd want to see it.
Well, if there's a warrant,
If
yes.
no warrant, then no.
Yeah, but if it happened 3 months ago,
Then it would.
Let's talk.
so there is some sort of time factor here on some of these things, right? Or do we want to just
So-
put them all through to us and we'll
we'll
talk
put
about
them
it?
to us and we'll make that
We'll make a
decision.
decision then.
I think.
I'm just trying to set some filters up here for
Right.
them. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I'm
I
trying
got
to
down so far.
simplify on staff time.
OAS, OWI, OAR. I have anything that's dismissed is going to pass through. So we got all traffic but those 3 offenses. Anything that's dismissed is getting passed through. Anything that's a warrant is definitely coming here. Anything that's an OWI, OAR, OAS is coming here. Anything that's drinking related, so underage sale, underage consumption is coming here.
Prison escape.
That one's
It's
interesting.
on there.
Well, then they let them out. They let them out 3 months later.
The interesting thing about that one is what I typically would see something prior to a prison escape.
Like, why are they in prison?
Like, why are they in prison?
Well, and it says, and then that happened in July, and then they released him in October.
2.5 months later.
My inkling is that if you see the time frame for the OWIs, they pair up, and there's probably some Huber issue that he didn't come back.
Oh,
with
that's what the
police.
prison escape was?
That's right.
Prison escape doesn't mean
Yes.
crawling down a rope with the dogs
It's
barking.
not Shawshank.
I see what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah, he escaped 6 days later after his OWI.
Yeah.
okay, so let's go down the rest of the list, and so.
Okay, yeah.
We got the,
Inattentive
Selena?
driving, we don't care.
no, yeah, that's one.
Deborah is deny, right? Soft denial. Deborah Baronis.
Yes.
So she's a warrant.
On the
Okay.
denial list,
Yeah.
yes.
Joseph.
Wait a minute, what do you mean, when I stop now, it means he comes to the committee?
Yes.
That means we'll send a letter that you are having a substantial related offense.
Okay,
Need to
so that
show us
comes to the
those
committee, and the committee says,
Show us rehabilitation.
right, show us rehabilitation, okay. We're doing all 3 things at the same time, so.
James Balf, you did say yes to call in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Wimo Fredo? Oh, no.
No.
Second
James
one on
Balf,
the
the 3 OWIs, even though they were that long ago, yes, we're
Yes.
going to see him.
I'm on to Joseph
Yeah,
regular.
yeah. Instead
Yeah.
of driving, we don't care.
See, now that one would normally have not come to us.
Pass. That one would normally, if going forward, if that's what you're saying, yes, that one won't come to you anymore. You're just gonna get the actual more serious one.
Okay, and now the next one, Selena.
OWS.
Child safety restraint.
As long as
Okay.
she's got operating
What
while
is
suspended.
OWS?
So the child safety restraint, what was one of the criteria? Endangering the safety of a child? Is that considered?
It would not, no.
Okay.
No, it was actually doing harm.
It's probably violent.
So you're saying this one will be sent to us?
This one will be sent to you through the filter.
Okay,
But then,
but-
on today's date, what I would tell you is, she is valid now, so whatever operating after suspension.
We're saying don't call her in.
It has been cleared up. She has a valid license, so I'm not sure what other rehabilitation she should show you, or would show you.
Okay. So I would say don't call her in?
Correct.
But you would
Or
still
what-
always see those.
Okay, what's the term that we should be using?
Pass through on the consent agenda, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pass through to the.
Pass
full
through,
council on it.
okay. Okay, turn the page. Giannis.
Don't you dare say it to the Kumpo.
Can't read this one anyways. Okay,
Pass through.
It's close.
I'd say, yeah, nothing in here is criminal.
No.
okay. Now pass through, now this one wouldn't normally even come to us after today.
After today, correct.
Correct.
Okay. Next one.
Next one would, operating while
Suspended. Okay.
Felony criminal damage to property
Disorderly
and an
conduct.
underage alcohol possession 9 years ago.
Look at the last one.
And a recent possession of
And,
THC.
no,
Yeah, call
last
this-
spring.
okay, call this
Possession
person
of
in.
THC. But that was,
What's a non-criminal possession? Basically, they were just given a fine. Yeah.
but I thought the drug charges would only substantially relate if they were intent to distribute, no?
No, 125 drug charges can.
Okay.
The discrepancy with the drug charges is that we can revoke, but they've, for some reason, left out deny.
Deny, yes.
And
We should
so-
work with our legislators to correct that. That's ridiculous.
My
We're
position-
gonna give it to
all
you
of
so we
this.
can revoke it. That's just
That's why,
stupid.
on this little document here, which is going to be mostly for Steve, but I've written that.
Saw that. We're gonna go with that. If we can revoke it, we can deny.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that too.
Okay,
I'll give it to
so
San Filippo. That's an easy one.
we're calling this,
Do you know him?
Yeah.
I know you do.
so we're calling that person in.
Gabriel Hanley is the soft denial, right?
Yeah.
Next one. Yep, we're calling that in. 2 OWI.
13 OWI and
13,
18 OWI and a warrant.
Bench warrant, yeah.
Okay,
What's ORD?
I think that means ordinance.
Oh, ordinance and OAWI, non-criminal?
okay, we're calling out that person in, so.
Yeah. Herrera, okay.
I'm sorry, are all these new licenses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be.
Yeah. Okay, we got,
Retail theft
Kayla?
on the next.
Now we're up to Kayla Ludi.
yeah, retail theft, OWI.
Non-criminal retail theft. Is that a candy bar? Like what?
It can be, $500 is, over $500 is a misdemeanor. No, under $500 could be a misdemeanor. It could be $200 for all I know.
Okay, and there's a
We have
operating
an
while revoked.
OWI and an OAR, 2 OARs.
Okay, call her in. Is that, wait, what's the date? Yeah, all this
Yeah,
is fairly recent.
2015, 2018.
Okay. So, next one, oh, 3 there.
Suspended, suspended, suspended.
All within the last two, within the last, well, just outside of 2 years.
17 and 16.
Well, we want to see this one. Yeah.
Okay, and so our usual speech is, why do we call you in on an offense like this, is because a driver's license has rules and regulations, and so does ours, and you obviously didn't pay attention to yours.
That's my argument, yeah.
And she doesn't have her driver's license yet. She's ID only,
ID
so
only.
there's no, she'd have to, she could get her driver's license in the meantime if she's listening.
Get up, I'm calling in.
And to offer some sort of proof of rehabilitation. But right now, we could say, and you're not even, Alderman Rhodes can ask her how she got to the meeting, and she's going to say she drove.
And again, having a license is not a condition to having a liquor license. The argument is, if you're breaking the laws on driver's license, on your ability to operate a motor vehicle, and a licensing process on that, why should we trust you licensing to make
saying that for
decisions for other
years.
people, much less yourself? And so that's the argument I make. I don't know how it holds up. So Nichols is a soft denial to bring in. Okay.
Right.
Different Nichols.
The next one, Nolan. Operating while suspended. 19.
The distinction here is that while there's still a
16.
OAS,
We had Nolan.
Miss Nolan is now valid, and so
Yes.
I think that's a
That's
distinction
rehabilitation.
between I think there's a distinction.
So we're just going to assume that that's proof of rehabilitation, and that's going to go on the consent agenda.
Because
I would be okay
the last one was,
So how are you going to write that in the document?
I don't know. That's not going to be a filter. That's going to be one there.
this is coming to us,
This is
yes.
coming to us still? Okay.
Because it still has that OWS.
Yeah.
Nolan is.
Right, because then they're
Yes.
making the
Okay.
rehabilitation.
So that one, but that one we're not sending a letter to. Soft.
Up to you guys. I guess
It
that we
comes
might.
to us, but we're not sending a letter to
I
her?
think the distinction is you have to make the determination that they provided evidence of rehabilitation, so that's what's going on.
Right.
So it's going to come out of the clerk's office, but it's going to go right to the consent agenda, right?
It's going to come out of the clerk's office to you guys, and you're going to say this person has 2 operating while suspended, but they're valid now. What else am I going to look for out of that?
Yeah,
right.
I'm just going to pass it through. But you're still going to get those in case
Right. And
it's going to be too hard to legislate or to figure out that filtering process. That's a better decision to come to you guys.
Right, I agree. So, but this particular one, we're not going to be calling in?
I would agree.
Okay. Someone could say something.
No, you're right. You're right. I would move approval on her. There's no reason to call her in.
Okay. The next one,
OWIs and retail theft.
18.
Recent.
Yeah, and pretty much regular.
And revoked.
96, 15, 18. Okay, let's call that person in. Oh, yeah. Okay, we got, oh, geez.
Yes.
Okay, we got 11, 11, 12, 14.
Felonies, several.
Theft, movable property. Yeah, okay, that one's called in. We'll just, then Isabel, possession.
Report accident. Does that substantially relate?
Well, underage alcohol.
16. 3 years ago, same time as the possession.
Failure to report an accident. You know how we want our bartenders to report things, and does that substantially relate?
That was a question, Nick.
Sorry.
Does it relate?
You pay me to argue that, make those arguments. I mean,
Failure to report an accident.
I would consider that more of a traffic situation than a licensing issue. The underage alcohol could be, there's an argument, I suppose, there. If we
And
want
the
to make that
possession.
argument. The THC and underage alcohol in 16. I think we could probably hang our hats on that easier than the failure to report.
Well, it might depend on the details of the failure to report, right?
Okay, which she can relate to us and we can make a decision?
We'll call
So we're
her in.
calling her in?
Calling her in.
Okay. Next one, OWI.
Just
That's the same one?
Just one.
Well, we're calling her in.
Yeah, we're bringing them in.
Ms.
So-
Selzer, we're calling her.
So are all, we don't have to call in OWIs. You guys can call in OWIs. And so what you're saying
So
today
this
is
is
that
5 years
we're
ago.
soft denying that person. I think if somebody had come in the past prior to this distinction, typically what we had done is you had the opportunity to give people warnings.
Right.
And that's what I think the committee wants to hold on to is this, hey, don't do it again. You better be smart about this. But one OWI, it does substantially relate, and that's what I was arguing about before. But is that something that we are going to be routinely denying people on, or are we just creating a hurdle to make somebody come in so we can yell at them? If they don't come in, then are we intending to even deny them, really? Or is it just to try to get them in front of us?
I thought the intent, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, I'm just saying, if this person comes in front of us, would we even deny this person with this?
If they show us that they've been reasonably rehabilitated, we'd probably accepted, but
But part of the reason we call them in is to impress upon them, I wouldn't say yell at them. Do I yell?
no.
That would.
We impress upon
Get the
them the
speech.
importance of making the right choices.
And if they get any more, or can we say that anymore? If they get any more, that they could potentially be
Could
revoked.
potentially impact their license, yeah.
Okay.
I think one more be,
Okay, so calling this one in. Let's go.
We're still bringing in OWI.
and somewhat what Alderman Weigel said, like, yeah, we're paying attention, we know what's going on with our applicants.
Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 all in 17.
This is when I would point out again that Ms. Sanford is valid.
Back to back.
To back.
Yes.
Back to back to back to back.
All within like 2 weeks.
Well, it's only 2 months. From 10/17, or 10/2, 11/27, you had the 3 of them here right in a row.
Okay, and she's valid.
See, this is one that, you like to give her the speech, just simply because she obviously doesn't care, but now she's got the license.
Well, do we know if she's still in process and facing? So she got one, 2 years ago.
2 years.
Yeah, the last one was 2 years ago.
Well, if she's got her license, most likely these haven't been cleared up,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
There's no roll call. This is the perfect example of why Steve isn't going to be making these calls. It's up to you guys, whatever you want to do.
Going with the previous one that had similar things that is now valid, I think we'd still bring them in, but, or at least jacket it separately.
Well, I can't say to her, you made bad choices for yourself. None of these have to relate with alcohol.
Right.
But they definitely have relating that you don't care if you,
Responsibility.
what the license says or anything. But would I deny the person for this here?
No.
Probably not.
No, I wouldn't either.
So we can't call people in to yell at? Okay.
Yeah. You're the bosses.
Well, and Mr. Chair, I think it comes to the thing where if we call them in and they don't show up, and we've
Yes.
approved them
Yeah.
anyway, are we wasting their time as well as?
Are we wasting our
your
time? Are we wasting staff's time?
Are we creating a problem?
Yeah.
I think it's similar to the other
Wasting
one.
whose time? We're here.
No, yeah.
We had that other one with
Their time.
the operating while suspended.
Right.
That shows valid now, and we said, well, we're not going to put it on the consent, but still put it on the agenda. Well, we weren't going to call them in. What did you say on that?
Okay, no, it would come to the committee, I think. That's what
Right.
it
The
says.
filter would send it to the committee, but it's ultimately the committee's choice whether we
Call them in or not.
soft approve or soft deny. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Alden Road.
question for you. You have to be doing something wrong in order to
Right, you didn't get pulled over.
No,
They don't
no.
just pull people over
They
like,
got pulled
I
over
think
for
you're
something else.
suspended. You got to be like,
Well, no, the police have a scanner that scans
Helpers.
plates. So,
We have those in West Dallas now?
Yeah.
No, we've got two.
you don't
I
get
asked the
to?
chief, we don't have, no, because otherwise we'd be doing our better parking.
But, so that it just scans plates and.
So this, but that
it'll
wasn't
pop up.
this. We didn't have that 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, it's been
We
around for a
did, but
while.
only 2 vehicles, I think, have it. One's
Well,
a parking check.
this doesn't say in West
I'm not
Dallas.
even sure if it's not
That's
on
all.
local notes.
No. No, it's not a local, but could be in a city that had it, though. Yeah, and that was going to be my point. I was going to agree with Alderman Rote, is nobody gets pulled over for operating while suspended, but apparently now they do.
well, we don't know if this was,
Well, they can.
what did you say that acronym was? CalPERS?
Like
CalPERS?
Elpers.
Automatic license plate recognition
Neighbor
software.
could have been a cop and pulled him over all the
Yeah,
time.
it pops up, because it's going to pop up, the license suspended, so obviously they're going to pull you over.
Yeah.
And so that's why, because I had the same question, on this
Maybe Ashley
years
can tell
ago.
us.
I
Ashley
thought,
can
Yeah,
tell us when
maybe
what
we
did
call
they do
Ashley
that?
in, she can tell us.
It's up to you guys, what do you want to do?
Bring her in.
You want to bring her in even though,
Even though we can't deny her for it.
if she can't make it, then she's denied.
She can't make it twice or call twice, then she's denied.
We don't give it twice. We vote on it right away. We don't have that two-time rule anymore. Am I correct? We just did that. We have to make a choice.
You have the choice.
We have the
but
choice to
goal
make
is
a
get-
choice or not.
The governing
Because
body.
it's a two-step process now, so,
You have the power.
yeah, but you have the power to do.
I don't
whatever you
like
want.
denying somebody just because they didn't show up.
But it's
once.
different. Well,
The scheme is that you do this initial review of the records. You're consent agending the ones that are no problem. You're soft denying the ones that are potentially problematic for those people to come in. That's just the scheme that you have here. It has to be this kind of dual process based on the change in the law. But if you want to do something different, you do something different, as long as it's not breaking the law. And I would advocate not do that. But, yeah.
The other goal was not to.
hold on, May.
When you look at this, it's a 2-month segment of time for
Yeah, it
choice.
is, yeah.
Nothing since, nothing
Well-
really much before that.
If you got those, you got to be very paranoid driving.
Yeah.
If you got them like that. Okay, we're calling this one in. Let's move on. Call her in.
Err on the side of caution.
Yeah. Okay. Operating with.
Suspended license, operating with.
Yeah, this guy had operating while suspended, and is still suspended.
Wait a minute.
And no insurance.
You with the guy?
Tow bar?
Tow bar.
Judith. Okay, it's not a guy.
Bring him in.
Yeah,
Right.
neutral gender
Bring
pronoun.
her in.
Guy.
Excuse me.
Operating while suspended and.
This last summer, and still suspended.
And no insurance.
No insurance wouldn't be something that gets in there.
It's a state law.
So is all the other speeding
So
violations.
are the other ones, yeah. Wow.
It's not criminal.
It's not a.
So do we want to call them
I
in?
didn't
This
mean
is
it to sound
one,
like that,
this
Nick.
is
It's
one
just, you know,
operating
it's
while
like-
suspended.
And there's
I
still,
guess it's like
obviously, it's only a
uninsured
few months ago. So do we,
You're talking about tow bar,
is
right?
this,
Yeah.
is this applying for a bartender's license? Are all these?
Yeah.
Are all these going to be applying for a bartender's license, not just
They
a?
have applied for.
Okay,
Which one are we on now?
because we're only
Tow bar.
reviewing, because we
Okay.
have the adult license also. Will there be a special note on here that it's for a different license?
Yeah, where it says license type operators, if it's
Oh,
a
it
different.
says-
Operation, okay,
yeah.
okay. First, okay.
That's not the
Fine.
telephone switchboard operator.
While you're on that, is there a place to put a birth date?
Yeah, birth dates would be good too, because I was going to ask about that too.
If you have an underage drinking and it happened when you were 19 and now you're 30, the underage drinking was probably to yourself. And if there's nothing else on the record,
Yeah.
My only caution would be that I don't want to, that the age can't be any factor
Right.
that would be
Then don't
part
put
of
it
the
on.
denial.
okay,
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to have
All
some,
right.
That was the reason I didn't have it on.
okay.
So we're going to put up a screen, so when we call them in, we can't tell how old they are?
no, right, exactly.
Well, you do get the reports and it has their DOBs
Oh,
in there.
okay, yeah, eventually the report.
So what are we doing with Judith? Soft denial or,
Soft denial with the suspended license still, on an operating while suspended.
I would argue to the committee that the operating while the registration is suspended is much more important than the fact that she is suspended currently, but the fact that she is suspended currently doesn't
Shows
show
lack of
rehabilitation.
rehabilitation.
Correct.
okay. Soft denial. Okay, Marcus. Immediate speeding, oops, felony.
Forgery,
for-
13 years ago. Possession with intent, heroin, 13 years ago.
11.
Excuse me.
11.
Oh, yeah, 11 years ago.
13.
What's less than or equal to, 3G, 3 grams, got it. I'm used to the lowercase g for grams. Big G is
Mr.
gram.
Chair,
Alderman Rowe.
I just have a question for Nick again, and it has nothing to do with anything. Well, it does, obviously, but what is uttering again, please?
Forgery or uttering. Uttering is just a legal term for basically making a false or I'm going to do something and I promise I'm going to do it, but I don't do it. Nobody gets charged for uttering. You get charged for forgery.
Okay.
It's just they go together. It's like resisting, obstructing. It's on one order. one
What's
statute.
felony forgery?
Felony forgery.
Big money?
Okay.
Multiple times or just big money?
Likely
Fake
more
checks.
serious.
Yeah.
Credit card
Payroll
theft.
checks?
Okay, once again, this one will go through the filter, come to us, and do we want to see the person, or, I mean, you're talking 11 years ago.
With nothing.
Well, is there nothing since, because he was in jail for 7 of those 11 years?
Hey, kiss this.
Well,
Yeah.
he was driving in 2015.
Oh, here, this is record.
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah, so he didn't get a failure to yield in prison.
So we're saying,
He got a 6 years, 6 months in jail In prison, sorry.
Yeah.
And he was intake 9/26/08, so
So
14, yeah, he's been in for a while.
Yeah.
He's been out for at least 4 years. With supervision. It looks like he was actually let out in 2011.
And you're saying, the drug is definitely, goes along with the license?
Drugs is in 125 as being
With
something
intent.
that is specifically problematic with a
Okay,
liquor.
soft denial, I say. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it? Do we have?
That's it.
That's enough.
That's it for this.
Okay, so all those are taken care of. That's taken care of.
Big one.
Well, it's, I think if we get this ahead of time, we can have all the ones marked and everything, once we get ourselves into a system.
Yeah.
That we can do that. What?
You can filter some
Yeah,
out.
you can, okay. And
So,
so,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Chair. In all likelihood, as this gets better, most of the stuff you're going to see are going to be problematic people. A lot of these are going to be denials because we're going to be filtering out the ones that are real easy.
right.
So ultimately, you're going to be making these hard decisions more frequently, but the easy decisions are going to just get passed through. You're not going to worry about
And if
it.
there's nothing on there, they just go through.
Nothing on there. Anything that's just traffic is going to get passed through. I got it on here. I'm going to submit this again, and I'll give it a copy to Steve. It'll be on the next agenda.
The guidelines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for you guys to say, yep, that's what we want Steve to consider, and that will be it.
Okay.
And I just want to say, once we get those in place, it's good for me, it's good for my staff, it's good for any future staff, so it's good for succession planning, these kind of written documents.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
I have one more.
One minute.
Identity theft didn't show up on any of those, but identity theft, I think I'd want to see that.
Any crimes are coming through to you. Any
Any
quasi crimes. So anything that is a state charge and an analogous municipal charge, I would say, is coming through to you. Ultimately, you're going to be making the call on what substantially relates, because we don't have guidance, and I don't want Steve to try to be making those calls.
Okay, so we handled 18. We don't, do we vote on it? Yeah, we got to vote on that. So what do we vote on? Approving this now?
We place that one on file, number 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a review.
You're giving us direction.
So move to place on file.
Yeah.
Second. Was that your motion?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay, what do we have here?
20.
Number 20 with
The next
new
one.
agenda.
The next one.
20 is the new ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, what's 19?
Copies.
19 was we already
Right.
chewed on.
Guidelines.
Okay,
The
so,
guidelines.
On file.
so do we place that on file?
You have copies for everybody?
Do we place on it? Do we place
Chair, if we could leave that open till Nick gets the
the 19?
guidelines,
Okay.
resubmitted.
Okay,
We'll just tack it on.
okay. What's this? Oh, I already got this.
This is what we're trying to do.
I've got copies if you need them.
Yeah.
I think I have it.
I don't need it.
Okay.
there.
Well, it's on here.
Yeah.
And I emailed them
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
That was in that separate email later today.
Yes. I don't know, Kayla explained this to us some time ago about not having a quota, but we have such strict guidelines to go by that we got a better case to deny? Is that?
I'm not sure if strict is the way to look at it. It's discretionary. Everything with these license A's and B's is discretionary. You can deny an applicant for a Class A or Class B and just say, we have too many of these, we don't want another one. And the next day, somebody can come in at the exact same location with some other type of business, restaurant or screen printing or heck, the hatchet throwing, whatever these people are doing, that blows my mind.
Yeah, I know.
In any event, and you can decide the next day, we're going to license that place. It's discretionary.
We can do that.
You can do that. As long as You don't even need to have a reason, says the case law. It can be inferred through discussion that the committee has. I guess my position to you would be, let's voice a reason why we're generally denying people. We don't want any more bars in this area like this kind of bar. That's fine. So the quota system, really, the only thing that the quota system does is makes it, to some extent, a risky endeavor for some bars, or they see it as a risky endeavor to come in and say, I'm not going to build this huge establishment because I can't be guaranteed a liquor license. Not that they ever would be.
Yeah, this would really help development. See, before we just gave more, we just raised our quota on it. This would really help development.
Had a meeting with development, Mr. Chair, if I could, had a meeting with development and city attorney staff yesterday. Yeah, they have the frustration of, how are they, well, they're supposed to know what we're going to approve. I actually made the point, it's like, well, a call to we're talking about ones that are problematic, recent, the
Mario's.
Cream City Clay. Or not Cream City Clay, Cream City Print, and it'll be on the agenda in a week. They didn't think that was going to be a problem. Our development staff didn't think it was going to be a problem at all. And then you look at the ones that just kind of went right through real easily, Reunion and the Lapham, okay? And I said, and they were worried about the parking at the Lapham, and in fact, I was too, but we had a public hearing, and we had some discussion about the parking, but it was a business across the street, essentially, that was concerned about it. They thought there was going to be a problem there, too, and I was concerned about that also. But I said, well, look at the differences in those projects. The ones that just kind of sailed through were rebuilding big, empty buildings, increasing the tax base, providing jobs by proven operators with a track record, people who know what they're doing. And staff was like, well, we didn't know that. Right. And I kind of see that, but, and they, just like now, we're talking about this whole filter process for bartending licenses. We're supposed to have a similar filtering process for Class Bs and Class As. No. We let them come to us, describe what they're going to do. We decide what it is about they want and what they do, and we need to be able to hold them to what they say they're going to do. You know what? I'd be really concerned if the Lapham 2 years from now turned into a pool hall, right? They pitch it to us as a restaurant, and we're going to be able to hold them to it.
And so that's what the conditions are. And so what you have in front of you are two different ordinances parsing out different conditions. One is the holding them to what they say they're going to do effectively is the first one, which is 902.12. The conditions is talking about having conditions on the licenses, and this one's talking about whatever they tell us their principal business is, that they have to be tied to that. This is I think, a change to some extent in how the two different city attorneys had seen conditions of licenses, but under Chapter 125, one of the options that we have to revoke a license is that they aren't complying with municipal regulations. It's Kale's position that because there's nothing that says we can't have conditions of license, that this would be a perfectly fine and reasonable thing to do. And so we have conditions. There's the principal business, there's a bunch of other stuff on the second set of conditions, the other ordinance that was going through, but ultimately it's something that this committee can consensually put on a new license. It has to be with consent. They have to agree to these terms. The catch-22 there to some extent is that because the licenses are all discretionary, they may grant that you say, all right, we'll issue a liquor license if you do A, B, and C. You run your premises, the principal business this way every single time. You do this, you do this, you do this. And they say no, you say, well, you're denied then. If they say yes, you say, okay, you are granted the license with those conditions.
And if they go and do it, we revoke their license.
And if they don't abide by the conditions that they told us that we granted it on, then we can, that's the process we'll go through, is the revocation process.
Okay.
We'll see what happens in court.
Now, obviously, this isn't new. Other places have it.
Other
that
cities.
don't. I mean, we got a state quota on it.
Yeah, I think Kale brought that up.
The idea of conditions exists.
Yeah, but the idea has been tested in court.
Yes. And-
That's right, I remember him saying that.
Okay, so we're talking about this tonight, and we're going to have that joint license and health and safety development next Tuesday. We don't have to tackle all of this next Tuesday, okay? I'd like to make sure that we at least tackle the one that lets us put conditions. The idea of getting rid of the quota, I know there's going to be some resistance. I believe there's going to be some resistance.
I don't.
Okay, you don't think?
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, yes, there will be
Well,
resistance.
there will be some
Because
resistance on the council, because it's just something we've had all along.
Something we've
But-
had.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I would argue, it really hasn't done us a lot of good. It hasn't,
More aggravation, I think.
I mean, right now, we're losing bars. I mean, the little corner bars are kind of going away. The Sail Inn is gone. June Bugs was gone. You know, we've probably lost some more. I see Ann nodding her head. A couple of these little corner bars are going away just through attrition.
Right.
And I'm trying to picture the ones that we granted over quota licenses to. I don't think we've had a lot of problems, because the ones we have granted over quota licenses to have been, ended up being Double B's Barbecue, I think was an over quota license.
I don't recall.
I think Crimson Club was an over quota license. I think Station 6 was an over quota license.
That one for sure, yeah.
Crimson Club, I know we had a problem there, because it wasn't Crimson Club, it was what became, but
Right before.
yeah, we had a problem there because the landlord had a bad tenant, you know. So, and these people had all described a certain kind of business as how they're going to operate it, and we believed them, and they've substantially held to that. But
This would give that more teeth.
this would give that teeth.
Actual
This would say, you know what, you say you're going to be an Italian restaurant, you got to be an Italian restaurant. You can't take out the dining room and put in 5 pool tables. Unless, of course, we want to let that happen.
Unless they come back to us and say.
They have to come back
We
and
want to
change
do
the
that. If they come back to us and say, we want to do that, we can say no.
Yeah.
You go either do what you did, do what you said you're going to do, or we're going to take away the license.
Yes. And the idea is, right, and I'd like to see this teeth in our toolbox very soon, because we have a particular applicant
Right.
who's struggling with his location. He's on the bubble about whether he can stay or not. It's Cream City Print.
Right.
Okay. He's a tenant in there.
That's the
Yeah.
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 Alderman Rowe.
I would be careful about
Discussing a particular-
deciding situations
Okay,
that aren't,
okay.
yeah, just
Right.
be mindful of that,
We
please.
can't,
I just like the
we
idea.
can't discuss the
Particular applicants?
particular applicant, right?
I would agree, I would
I didn't hear
approve.
anything.
Okay, sorry.
But if we have a hard quota number, we still got to call them in to go over quota for a public hearing, then we hear their plan. That's why I like the quota number.
We're still going to hear their plan, but this is going to give us the teeth to make them hold to their plan.
Okay.
And because right now, if they turn into a bar,
Once you issue the license, this is going to be some onus on everybody, not as much the committee here, but on staff, that when people are renewing the license, that we're making sure that they're complying with their conditions. That's going to be something I think is important, because the Wisconsin Dolls case where they're changing stuff, and it was, hey, you guys all agreed to it, and so now Wisconsin Dolls has this huge bar area. That,
Yeah, it was like a campground that they turned into a bar?
basically.
Yeah.
And so that's I guess a concern that we could have is that we got to make sure that we are aware of any changes to license or to the application.
how are we going to do that?
We'll have to talk.
Facebook.
Specifically, I mean, hopefully sooner rather than later, but specifically with the renewal period, and I told Marty this, I want you guys to put more emphasis in the premises description. And the floor plan that they get, that's part of the premises description. So you're going to approve the license, you're going to get the pitch from the people, and you're going to approve the license, you're going to see the licensee and the complete premises description. That's something you should focus on. I think it's been not as focused upon in the past.
It's like this much of the.
Yeah, and I'm working with the licensees to try to get better. I can do that. You can't force them to change any existing licenses, but I can work with them to get some better detailed ones.
Yeah, and Steve's also going to be having a sit-down with the licensees, you know, and saying, okay, this is what we're looking for, this is, you know, like we haven't done that in the past. And so maybe, well, it makes us easier to say, hey, wait a minute, you went to her, he told you right at that meeting this year, you know, and that, you know, it works in our favor also.
These meetings going to be mandatory?
They're going to be not mandatory.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't think they can be,
Right.
can they?
No. They're informational sessions.
Yeah, but they could be mandatory if we, now, on this other page here where we have the other ordinance where we have all this videotaping and, maybe no live music or no drink specials, that would be something that we would use on a trouble bar where we say, you know what, and I'm going to use the example of all-you-can-drink specials. I'm not a fan of those, but, and then maybe a bar has repeated problems with highly intoxicated customers, and we go through the revocation process, and we might say, you know what, we're going to revoke your license or suspend you for 6 months, or we're going to suspend you for 15 days, and then you can open back up. But after you open up, you can't have the all-you-can-drink special. And he says, well, what do you mean? That's my bread and butter. It's like, well, you know what? Then you're going to get the 6-month suspension. You're gonna have to figure that out. So we're not, when you see on here, live music, drink specials, and the video, forcing people to video, that's not, we're gonna force on everybody. That's gonna be a tool that we're gonna use for our problem bars.
So shouldn't the language say something, sorry, Mr. Chair. Shouldn't the language say something to the effect of at the discretion of the council during licensing? Because the way I read it right now, it shall be this way. No live music, no drink specials. You must have video. That's how I read it anyway.
Mr. Chair, these get read together, essentially, is that the two ordinances got split up, but 9.0212 M says conditions upon specific licenses, and then you go A, and then you go to the next one, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah.
On 12M there it says the council may impose any of the following conditions specifically upon any existing licensee only with the licensee's consent. And so that's where it gets into the may part.
Yeah.
If you read them together, it looks different right now, but when it's going to be in the code book, it's going to be permissive.
Quid pro quo.
You don't know what that word means. Anyway, so would it be possible to have a version of this with the parts crossed out and added, so you can see it worded that way?
I think that's all additions, isn't it?
No, this is all new.
This is all new.
This is all new.
Right, but I'm saying those other parts are there. The 12MA is there now, isn't it?
No.
So we're really creating 12M starting at letter B.
We're creating 9.0212M.
With letters B to F, no A.
No, these go together. So the first one, they're not numbered, but the first one that you see is the 12M, creating 12M. And then this is kind of like a Lego piece, I would say, is that B through C is going to add on underneath A. But they were split up so that the principal business of premises can get going faster than potentially the other conditions that people might want to debate longer. So
nowhere in here is there repealing the quota. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's number part 1. Isn't that?
Section 1.
I know I saw it.
9.01 is hereby repealed. Is that the quota?
Yeah. I would imagine.
Yes.
That's what I assume.
Yes, that is. Yes.
And that's why I asked to have it split up, because I know that repealing the quota
It's going to be hard.
is going to be weeks or months of discussion.
Yep.
But again, I wanted to have those
time.
teeth. I want the teeth in our, I want us to have the teeth right away.
Yeah, definitely split it up. Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I think we should do it.
Well, either way, I'd really like to see this passed.
Okay.
Do we require a site plan?
So that's something we could, and that's another part
The
of this
liquor
is that
licenses over quota right now.
that's part of what we can add to Chapter 9 on these things. Is we're adding these conditions. A condition of licensure would be going through a site plan review. I think that's actually on A. Maintain property with the landscaping and architectural design plans approved by Common Council.
Yes.
And so they go through that whole process. To some extent, the issue.
Does that go to Plan Commission first?
That's part of the conversation we have to have, is when is the public hearing? I think we still want public hearings on
Do you want
every.
a public hearing on every little bar that comes in too?
You can make it a condition of a license if you wanted to.
Well, would you want somebody to open up a,
Well, we would have no,
yeah,
it's technically
if
right
somebody
now.
wanted to open up, say, a Kips Inn, don't you think the neighbors should know about it, and don't you think we
Well,
should hear about it?
absolutely think
Yeah.
people should know about it. I'm just thinking, so, that gentleman, I'm calling it Mario's old bar.
Yeah.
Someone came in, they would have gone through this whole thing, been denied, next person comes in with a whole new set of plans. been denied, we're gonna have a public hearing every time for the same property?
We'll see, but
Yeah, when is the public hearing?
Right.
That's again, something else staff wants to know. It's like, they're not going to invest in site and landscape without a license, right? But they might not even do the architectural drawings without a license, because that could be
That's costly.
$5K, right? If you have to do really any work.
got some.
Well, part of the problem, and it's not, there's not unanimous, it's not unanimous in terms of city staff on which way to go here. But right now, there's two tracks that people have to go through at the same time. And oftentimes it puts them in a position where they don't understand what are these two tracks? I have to go through site landscaping screening and get approved there, and I also get a license approval. We could meld that all under Chapter 9 if we wanted to, and have it all be part of a condition on their license.
That to me seems like the simple way, and that I think will be better for the businesses too.
It's a problem for businesses, and again, I can't speak for all of the departments, and Kale said that specifically to me, that there's not widespread agreement about that subject. But I'm not sure if departments still want oversight of some of this stuff, and I think they would still have that largely. I don't know if they're understanding kind of. Kale will have
What
to
degree?
Yeah. But right now, it's a problem for the committees because the committees are meeting either at the same time or different times. We got to run back and forth, and a lot of times we're holding decisions for other parts of decisions, which are realistically independent decisions that are super related. It's really
What you do is you condition, each committee conditions it upon approval of the other committee.
right. Well, and that's how that's how it works. It's just it creates a pretty cumbersome system right now. Not that it's bad or wrong. It's just Kale's position is that we could streamline it under Chapter 9 and we could get all the same benefits that we do now. There'd be as much oversight. It just wouldn't take dual processes for some reason.
I think it'd be better for businesses coming in.
And the streamlining, if we can save a new business a month, if we can, because sometimes if you miss a deadline, like the plan commission or something, you could miss a month, right?
Yeah, you gotta submit those things in like 3 months or 3 weeks before the plan commission.
Yeah, or even longer. I mean, a month of not being open is a month of not ringing the register.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
So
Been there.
So we're trying to, but
just popped into my head.
As I say, we don't want to deny angels in the wings, right? Movie reference
Yeah.
there. Okay.
so are we going to?
Okay, how does pertain? Alderman Roach just brought up, how does it pertain to the old shakies thing, where it just carried on?
Well, we revoked his, and eventually, did we give him an over quota?
No, he pulled it back.
You're right. He withdrew his application.
Turned his in.
largely, and I don't want to speak, I don't want this to be all against the committee, or largely a lot of the stuff is going to be for new licenses. This is going to be going forward thing because the conditions would have to be placed on consensually.
Right.
If there is a transition, a change, a transfer,
Well, but what I'm saying, he came in and said, he's doing all this. And he didn't. And we okayed the license, and he never did it. So there was never a license issued. So.
those would still have to go to revocation, just like the
Yeah.
So, yeah.
API.
Okay.
You do have a
that's what we're talking
30-day continuance ordinance
Right.
to factor in, like we had with Full Saigon, they kept a communication going with us.
Yeah.
I just don't want that to happen again.
So are we going to ask the departments that aren't happy with Kale's suggestion to make a pitch to us, and then we're going to see that next Tuesday?
Well, I think we should have them here. If
Yeah,
anybody,
yeah.
whoever this pertains to, have that,
Yeah.
people from that, so we know all the pros and cons to all this stuff.
Yes.
I don't have a problem getting rid of the quota. It's just, it's really, it's been easy to say, hey, we don't have a license, but then they apply for going over quota. They go through all that process. That's more work for the clerk's office again. And I just,
And Mr. Chair, if I could?
hold on, Mark.
I know one example of a Class A where we had the quota. What they did was buy a different license or buy another business that was going out of business, move that Class A to a different location, and turned into being the corner spot. So they followed the rules of the quota, and we still had a completely crappy location out of it.
I was just thinking about that today.
Yeah.
What does a quota do?
What did the quota do there? Nothing.
Mr. Chair, Can we dedicate, excuse me, so many licenses to restaurants, so many to taverns, and say if you're outside of that?
You can if you want to. I mean, it's all discretionary, and so.
We're worried about going above quota and the mess with that, but eventually we're gonna hit the quota again. And
I
that,
mean, the state quota?
the state quota.
Not unless we crack open the Milwaukee Mile and put a bunch of joints in there.
What's the state
Well, it's
quota?
possible.
Well, we're, what, 17 away?
State
14
quota is
away?
147, so
we
we're
have-
26 away.
Well, 10 away.
Were we ever
Or-
at the,
or
we were at the state quota in the past.
16 away,
Ever?
because we have the 10 reserves that we can sell.
No.
We can sell?
Were we at the
Or we
state
can-
quota?
Sell, they're $10,000 apiece.
Oh,
We're 16 away
Before-
from
before we
getting
had a
to the
quota
quota,
system.
but then we have an additional 10 on top
we
of
wanna
that
sell
make
it,
it
okay.
26.
Okay, see what you're saying. Yeah, because I remember that was years ago they put that in.
Yeah, set at 97. But a lot of municipalities who are at the state quota do have to think about reserving those. I mean, they're called reserve licenses for a reason, so they reserve them for certain developments.
Hotel.
I mean, ultimately, to answer your question, we can just be picky.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just say, I don't feel like having any more bars right now, and hold up the last 16 for bars or restaurants you want. I mean, ultimately, they're all discretionary, and so if you don't like something, as long as you have a neutral, good reason to deny them, not like, I think we're on the same page there. Deny it. You can deny it.
And this goes for A's also.
A's and B's, yep.
This goes for A's at liquor stores too.
So, and like we were talking, so if a bar comes in and they're saying, well, we're going to be bar and we're going to have 3 pool tables. And so we can deny them saying, well, we really don't want a bar with pool tables and it's great. Now, if somebody comes in a week later for the same location and says, okay, I'm going to have a bar, but not at the pool tables, we can say, okay, we get the
If
license.
you want to.
Do you want me to read a little excerpt from this manual that talks about this? It's really quick. Municipal, this is for refusal to grant a license under 125-12-3. Municipal governing bodies have broad discretion regarding whether to issue a license to a particular applicant for a particular location. The courts have held that state law does not confer upon a qualified applicant an absolute right. So it's a right, it's not a right to get a license.
So I got a question, Mr. Chair. Was that into that? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, I thought you were.
Yeah, fill and finish.
If a governing body conducts a proper review of the application, considers public sentiment and local concerns, and has a rational basis for denial, the court should not interfere with the municipality's decision to deny. And then it goes through and lists a couple good reasons, some sample good reasons, like adverse impact on traffic, adverse impact on peace, quiet, and cleanliness of neighborhood, that kind of stuff. Insufficient parking, proximity to other licensed establishments.
Okay, if I can just go ahead here. The one thing that says, what is it, input by neighbors or input by people? So if you get 100 people in here complaining about not wanting a bar in there, we can use that as a reason why?
We don't even need 100.
Right. You could have your own internal planning of the city and say, you know what, there's one 3 blocks away. I just don't want another one there. Or you can have people come in and complain, and you can say, yeah, we just want another one there. The community doesn't want it there. You have discretion to do it. It talks about a rational.
I thought that in the past, when the entire neighborhood's complaining, you couldn't really turn them down because of that.
They did change the law for conditional use permits, which are our special use permits here, but not for licenses. So you have broad discretion.
That's not new.
No.
That's not.
This stuff has been around for a while. They revised this 2 years ago, but.
What?
Yeah. So my question is, we brought up the idea of a license transfer, right? And it's a property right, I'm guessing it goes with the property that you're currently at. But if someone wanted a transfer license from property A to property B, we could deny that.
We can deny that. We always could.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
They,
I'd have to look into
they
it.
might have a right to the license, but it goes with the property, not with
But you
the
cannot
individual.
sell. You
Because they
cannot
don't-
sell a license.
Right.
Because you buy the business in certain.
So they want to bring it, so your example is they bring it from location A to location B, and location B, for some reason, we just really don't want it there. Because it's got 4 bars in a small area, or it's right by a school, or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, I can't think of a reason why. I don't know.
I don't know
I'd
if
have to
we
research it.
I don't think we've ever turned one down that want something.
I'm just wondering if we can.
There's case law, so I assume you can.
Yeah.
To deny it, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. If we have such broad discretion, the city has such broad discretion over these permissive licenses that I can't imagine they can just get one for some location and then it would just eat the rule if they could just then move to wherever they wanted as soon as they got a license.
That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, but there's been cases where, and not to bring it up again, but there was a bar on the White Road that he had money problems and everything, and it was technically closed, but he still had the license, and Shakey's worked out a deal and wanted to transfer the license.
And we approved it.
And we approved it.
We could have denied it, but he was going to make a nice restaurant out of it.
He's going to be open for the Packers
And he
season.
did.
Yeah. He didn't say what year. He did not say what year. So, okay. So,
The consensus I have is you want to get departments at the meeting. Kale's not going to be there tomorrow, so I'm going to send out an email. I guess I don't know who's been involved in these meetings.
I think it's going to be, I think it's development.
Yeah. You want it to development?
Development.
Pretty much only? Bins and development? Clerk's office,
whoever-
bins,
Clerks,
development?
of course.
Well, it's us in development. Because they had to do a special use
I'll talk to
permits
you about it
and
tomorrow. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Psych-
mention to the police department.
Police
too.
department? Mike may mention that to me.
Oh, that's amazing. He's a genius.
See, I'd like to get this, I'd like to get the whole thing voted on as soon as we can and get this where.
I don't want to let this conversation keep us from voting on this. Yeah.
So this is going to be next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday at 6.
Or is it, okay.
Next Tuesday at 6.
Is that one client on
no.
next Tuesday?
We can't do
Agenda,
next Tuesday
okay.
at 6. Next Tuesday at 5:30, we have an ANF meeting.
No, this will be on the regular agenda.
Wait,
the
is
recess meeting.
I thought we were having a joint A&F and Safety and Development next Tuesday.
At 5:30. It went out today. It's for insurance.
No, Safety and Development and License and Health.
Right.
I had asked for a joint meeting on that.
It was the 3rd. 'cause
There was
that's why
one on the 3rd at 5:30 that was just
I
scheduled.
didn't see the
for-
time.
That's ANF, and then the youth commission's at 6:30.
It's got a lot of business going on.
5:30 ANF is what?
They're having youth night,
Tuesday.
so you're going to have a youth commission member sitting beside you up at the
Oh,
dais.
really?
Yeah,
Something new.
All of us?
all of you, even me.
Okay, I don't know how long
That's
it's
the
been. I've
3rd.
never been a big youth commission. So now you're saying we're not having the meeting?
I
Doesn't show up here, but I
gotta have it.
swear it.
I
saw
see
an
right here.
agenda go out today.
I see it right here, yeah.
For the
There's a-
administration of finance, yeah. I got
Yep.
that. But I thought it was Monday.
No, it's the 3rd at 5:30.
I was thinking Monday was the 3rd.
Is it gonna, well, I guess we're not gonna discuss this big issue then that night.
Well, we can't keep pushing this off, though.
No.
Because we don't want,
Well, we gotta at least get to this teeth ordinance.
Well,
I think part
let's
two
put it
and
on the
beyond,
agenda, let's put it on the agenda for the license and health, and the other committee can be there.
So that's just ANF, right?
This is just A&F.
Which is why don't I
Which
just
is
do
all of us.
another meeting same time, and what we have simultaneous meetings, but you get to your stuff after you're done talking about the other one.
So you're gonna have
This is gonna
safety
be
and development
Do you think it's going to be an hour?
What is that one?
at 5:30? No.
Has to do with insurance.
Mike thinks
for
it's going to be an hour,
employees.
at least.
From the Employee Benefit Committee, we had a meeting yesterday. It's going to be pretty complex. You missed it.
Yeah, I guess
Oh,
we
must have
should.
been-
I thought it was,
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, or we only have, 33 items on the council agenda. You could just hold off on that discussion for recess like you do for other items and have the other committee come in.
yeah, just put it on the license and health for recess.
Okay.
And then we'll just tell the other committee to, what?
Nothing.
We're just, you're yelling at me again.
Item 1 is minutes.
And just tell the other committee, we'll wait for them and have them come in here. But we're saying it's going to be on the license of, is that okay?
At recess.
Is Gail going to be here then?
Yeah. It's coming back Monday.
Okay.
Coming back Sunday.
And so then we're gonna bring in development too then at recess for the whole conversation? No. Or we're just gonna work on the teeth of this ordinance?
No,
No, we still wanna,
well, they're mostly all here anyway.
okay, yeah, okay.
Because item 1's going to be minutes. Items 2 through 5 are going to be things to put onto the attorney's office. And if it's only like 33 items, we have 30 items. It should go fast.
They're always
Well, I
holding
think, I just think
Just
it's-
when you think it goes fast.
I know, knock on wood, right? Is that also the
10 of them
firefighters
are
thing that
licensed and
night?
held.
what?
10 are licensed and held.
Yeah.
Is it?
Generally, than that.
You know, the firefighters.
How many people are showing up?
One.
Okay, then we'll go quick.
Mr. Chair, the other thing is that there's the two sections, and so I think the less
contentious one.
Right, the one that I don't think anybody, other departments don't
Part
really
two
care
of
that much about is gonna be the first part with the teeth, or saying that there can be conditions and only imposing one condition, A, at that point.
Yeah.
The other part's gonna be getting rid of the quota and other conditions. I'd have to look at chapter 901 and see if that has anything to do with the site plan review too. We might be putting the cart a little bit before the horse, because the biggest part of this, even just to get done immediately, is going to be this first part, which I don't think there's much pushback against.
Right.
Is generally having conditions that we can put on licenses.
Yeah.
Just giving you guys more power.
Well, but we should discuss them both.
Though we discuss both, but we don't have to
But we got to make sure we'll keep them separate.
As long as we're talking about it right and people's minds are on it, we can have the conversation.
And we want to be able to vote on that night.
Yes.
We still wouldn't be able to vote on quitting, well,
Well, about the particular applicant,
right.
we've already had the over quota process, right?
You reviewed it and okayed it.
We reviewed it and okayed it, and he's scheduled for a public hearing on
The 17th, assuming they get in here with the application.
He didn't come today yet?
Natasha called, she's gonna come in tomorrow.
Okay.
And now Natasha called me, so.
This is, whatever. Okay, but I'd like to see this guy be able to open before Christmas, is what it is.
I think I would just hesitate to talk about pre-deciding factor issues.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, is there anything else on these?
Not today.
Okay, the motion.
Second.
Point of, do we have to do something on 20, Ann?
No, because it's
leave it open?
It's just discussion item,
Yeah,
thank you.
You do have the one that you originally introduced on the agenda you'll have to do something with.
File.
Yeah, place on file or postpone indefinitely.
But
Either
we can do
kills
that.
it.
Which one?
That's when it's all together.
The one that you originally, we had on the last agenda?
Right, it was all together.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Yeah, we'll take care of it Tuesday.
We're gonna do
Is
that
that
now?
okay?
no,
No.
We don't have it. It's not on. the
Oh, that's
agen-
right.
It's not on this agenda either, so. Okay, discussion item, it's going with the rest of that pile. Okay? Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I don't even want to look at the clock.
one thing before we leave,
Yes.
should we figure out when we're gonna have the next meeting?
Yes.
Since it's December 24th would be the normal meeting time?
What's wrong with that?